Yeah,
He will
that's
be.
cool.
Yeah.
No, I
He'll
know.
make it
Like
there.
that's what I love the ambiguity of it. Like, no, like, is he?
He can go the distance.
Yeah.
He's going for speed. No,
No,
that's
I
awesome.
listen to the Disney Hercules soundtrack.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing.
But I'm like, they're like, I want to listen to the Hercules song. Okay.
Yeah, see, that flew over my head.
I've got all like Disney and cartoon soundtracks on my phone.
Nice.
Before we start, is your car in a decent place?
I think so.
Are you?
I'm in the police station parking lot.
I was like, there's not a no loitering sign. The people didn't even talk to me. But he told me to come back. There's like a little shopping center, but like half of it is closed off. There's no shops in them. So he said, yeah, just go park back there.
Did you tell him you were playing D&D, or were you just like, I'm on my phone?
I was just telling him I was on my computer on my Wi-Fi out here.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, he did. I have a gauntlet in the back.
The Infinity Gauntlet. Back off, officer.
No. So my National Guard
gauntlet.
It's an actual gauntlet, and I didn't get this. My buddy from the guard got this because one of our guys was retiring, and the symbol for Forward Observers is a gauntlet holding a lightning bolt. So he got this gauntlet. He actually got a pair of them, so I'm gonna make one for him too. But I got these manipulative wooden like artistry hands to fit into this thing, so it can actually grab. It can actually grab something. So I'm gonna make like a lightning bolt and like engrave on it or whatever. I'm gonna make a stand for it that attaches onto the wood of the hand and have it come out on like the round stand, and that's gonna be his like retirement gift.
That's gonna be cool.
Either a stand or you could get like.
I had it in my passenger seat, and he was like, "What is that?" And I was just telling him about it.
You could get like a stand or a trophy mount, like a shield to like mount it on the wall. That'd be pretty sick too.
I really want him to be able to put it on his desk and just do this with it,
Yeah.
Just tell people to hold on with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, for my projects.
Alrighty.
Give me just another moment, and I will do a quick recap for our viewers, if we have any.
Yeah, I was just reading the Roll20 post that you had put on that I didn't get to see yet.
Hang on one second, I'll be right back.
Yeah, so now you have a trainer who's basically like a
dwarf.
A dwarf who's all about the gains.
Yes. Nice. So what is my dwarf trainer training me towards? Is he training me towards, I know athletics, but like what should I go with, mobility or the strength bump?
Oh, he basically says he'll train you for whatever purpose you want. So, in other words, you're honestly going to be focused on gaining expertise in athletics, but role playing wise, he'll train you, like in like quick dashes and sprints, while he throws progressively worse things at you to try to get you to dodge, and and he'll set up guys.
You can dodge
to
a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
That's right. You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a dodgeball. That kind of shit. So, climbing walls, like scaling, just all that kind of stuff. Like, you ever seen like those videos of so he's like a big fan of like the extreme situational stuff, like fighting out of a corner with 8 guys piling up on you. Think about like firemen doing those crazy things, like where they have the ladders with the hooks, like where they'll hook a window, boom, 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 scale it, go into the window, up to the next level, they'll and then they'll shimmy up again. So just crazy things like that.
I've had to do those firefighter agility tests the last 2 years in a row. Hopefully I get hired this time and don't Don't have to do it again, but yeah. Know what you mean.
All right.
Cool. I got a trainer.
Okay, hold on a second here.
And your armor is cheaper. Leonin came through on his promise.
Yes. All right.
Sorry.
I'm almost ready.
Some badass armor for him to walk around in and strike fear into the hearts of bad guys everywhere.
Amir didn't get much sleep. Grundar is lifting kegs of stuff everywhere. And I'm partying. For the usual. And now have a squire. Sad.
So, looks like Jason might join us later once he gets to the hotel, right? We just put up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is he gonna get a? I hope he gets a voucher, because they fucked up the
Probably.
flight.
Yeah, probably.
Dude, when I had a
Spirit
flight,
Airlines.
when I had a flight that like it had a severe delay in the airport, and then we got told, oh yeah, you're gonna have to stay the night here at like 11 o'clock at night. They gave us a food voucher and a hotel voucher. The food voucher gets you a meal at the airport. I don't know if you've ever had a meal at the airport. We got a Quiznos sub and a bag of chips and a drink. The half of the sub. And man, were they pissed about making it for us. I don't know why. It's not like it cost not like it was any different for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're hoping for tips. Not like anybody's gonna tip and they got to pay $18 for a fucking Quiznos meal at the airport. But
I've had many of meals at airports.
it's the worst experience paying with a voucher at the airport. Oh my god, they hate you. But you know what? The feeling was mutual in that moment. I was just like, I hate you. I hate everybody. I hate you all.
I don't care. I'm not even from here, and I was supposed to be on a plane a while ago.
Make my fucking chicken bacon ranch 4-inch sub, you bitch. And like, it's just some big dude. You know, it's like, I hate you. Sorry. The only person I liked in that moment was the lady at the hotel who got me my room and like felt so bad for me. She's just like, here you go.
Here's the
Did
key,
it.
sweetie. Here's
Yeah,
the key.
right quick and in a hurry. There's a hot tub if you want to use it. It's just like, fuck no.
Didn't it already close? Yes, but we'll open it for you.
I don't want to boil and cast soup and staph infection.
I'm about to send you over, Ryan, the contents of the letter.
On Discord. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So guys, for one day, Grundar, you know, if you came near him in the inn, he's practicing his words and his letters, and he seems to be learning a little bit. Seems to be.
Oh, I forgot.
He's got a really good G.
I forgot to put that on my list, man. I gave Tony you guys saw the list I gave Tony, right?
Oh my god.
He's just learning.
Making me work for it here.
He's just learning from books, man. His 4 books that he has. He knows how to spell chicken.
The circle, the curve thing.
The moon.
And the moon, and then like a little line with a little dot at the top.
He's learning what the letters
moon,
are. Come on.
And then something that looks like a hill with like a tree on top.
What? An I?
An H.
Oh.
Hill with a tree on top. I don't know.
Then you would have misspelled chicken. The I came before the H.
Well, it was the CHI.
Just drawing a picture of a chicken now.
All right.
Or no,
Grundar
it's not even that.
works
It's
in
just the noise the
hieroglyphics.
chicken makes. The walk. Can't. Hey man, if I'm writing in hieroglyphics, people say the Egyptians were advanced. All right. Could also be seen as runes. I'm very magical.
All right, I sent that over to you, Ryan.
Cool, I got it. I'm reading it right now.
All right, close out that. Get rid of this other stuff. I'm in a good mood today. I got my blood test results back. I don't have AIDS. Not that I thought I did, but
Hey.
you know, they test you for HIV. I was like, I don't know that I ever had that test. They're like, you should have that test. I'm like, should I? And so they're like, yeah, we'll know today. I'm like,
Okay.
well, I mean, if I'll know today, but now that you said I should be tested for AIDS or
You
HIV,
know.
I kind of want to know as soon as possible. And they're like, okay. So they test me and they're like, okay, yeah, you don't have HIV. Like, I didn't think I did, but thanks.
If you did have it, you would always wonder for the rest of your life.
I
You'd
would-
be like, "Where the fuck did I get it? Where did I get it?"
Yeah.
Well, I have a bit of a checkered past, so you never know. Anyway,
Damn me for drinking that milk after that one guy one time.
all right. Are we recording?
Yeah, we've been recording for a little bit.
Oh, hey, to all our viewers, I don't have AIDS. All right. I mean, not to diminish the horror that the lives of those who do have AIDS probably must look like. Of
The
course,
one viewer that was here, he's gone.
maybe, yeah.
He's gone.
All right. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. We'll talk about the week, and if you have any questions about what happens over the course of that week. Recalling what all happened, there was a lot of double and triple cross from somebody you don't even really know, especially considering that you guys really thought you took care of this big bad nasty in the crypts the session before last. A drow elf, no less. Anyway, so you guys made it back to civilization, really, which was just up and out of the crypts back into the city proper. With Balner and Leonin going to visit the high priest of Palor in the nearby church, only to find out that it really wasn't the old priest anyway. So you dropped off the what was left of the corpse of what you determined was a young woman, only to have that corpse disappear. And then Kellenan, as he was, carting, a big armload of, heavy plate armor pieces down to Gledros Tielson's forge, gets, sidelined by the city guard. He and who was with you at the time? Balner. Yeah, the two of you guys got arrested. Amir got arrested.
Yeah.
Everyone got arrested.
Everybody, yeah. Actually, you were.
Everybody.
Yeah, okay. This was a point for the viewers that I think it should be spelled out very carefully. That Grundar went along peacefully, and we're not confident that had Mason been playing in that
No,
moment,
absolutely
He had-
not.
if he had suffered
Absolutely not.
catastrophic failure of his PC, which tell me if I'm right, you actually had like smoke rise up from the power supply unit.
Not in an exaggerated fashion, but there was like a little, psh, like a wisp out the back.
Right. So
But it just made
perhaps this saved many innocent townsfolk's lives in this nasty scheme, because Grundar was just sort of checked out momentarily.
I'm gonna have to ask Jason about Marika messing with my PC because that seemed like divine intervention.
Well, I don't know. Jason was about to start it. Jason was about to start something.
Yeah, it kind of seemed that might be the case. But
Yeah,
anyway,
he had to throw the scent off the trail.
so Callanan decided to go along peacefully, although I could see there was some internal struggle there, and it all ended up working out. In fact, I think Amir ended up talking to his close contact, Sergeant Agrippa, who he'd known from the Watch for some time, still following orders, ended up taking him in, but ended up not. I would say he didn't treat you as poorly as he could have. And then, this was Leonid's moment to shine as he came in and pretty much kind of laid his dick out on the table and was like, suck it. Yes, this is a not safe for work. This is an 18+ game. So, and they did.
And they did.
And you guys just walked right out of there with all your stuff. Yeah, that's not going to work for me. Or I forget what it was. I forget what you said. No, that's going to be unacceptable. I don't
Yeah, it's like
remember.
that's not acceptable. Thanks, though.
And we really kind of ended it. I think right about there.
We ended it the next morning when we were talking to the mayor, but that was just more like a side thing.
Yep. So let's talk briefly. I guess I wrote out what everybody was going through, for the viewers, if there are any. A week passed, and everybody kind of went off and somewhat did their own thing. Although Leonin probably checked in with a few people to make a few things happen. One that was probably the easy one to start with is the plate armor, which all of the interconnected leather pieces and the cloth, the what do they call that, gambeson, that usually kind of goes underneath of your plate. All that stuff had sort of rotted away after several hundred years, and all that padding needed to be new padding and batting needed to be kind of introduced under the armor, and the plates sort of worked into that. And so all he really had was this just giant pile of plates with a lot of rot around it from the other pieces. And Leonin was able to work a deal with the mayor, who of course owned probably the best smithy in town, to see what he could do with those 4 bits of armor, or those 4 sets of plate. Could he make decent plate out of it? And can I get a discount? And the answer to all of the above was yes. So Callanan, you delivered that stuff. You met up while you were there. You ended up just kind of by chance meeting with another patron. This, give me a moment. I think it was Austri. Yeah, with this Austri Stone Reaver. He's what he says is a descendant from the Stone Reaver clans, a little further west, deeper, kind of in the outskirts of Jeff in the Barrier Peaks. And a couple of times he makes allusions to they were a clan of great wealth in their day, but his family sort of moved on, and he doesn't really know much about what happened to them. You found out that this guy, this dwarf, is really just solely focused on nothing but strength building, not so much for himself speed building, but what he tells you is like, I absolutely understand the concepts and I know how to make you faster, and it's going to be a combination of diet and hard work. And he didn't really talk too much about the diet until you signed up with him, and it was expensive as hell, 50 gold for a week of his training, and he started you right there and then. He didn't wait at all. So you dropped off the plate, you went to his place, he introduced you to the concept of lifting weights with effectively what are like kettlebells, and then he has you do a lot of like I said, situational training, and he says, we'll work in, we'll bring in some other people, and you'll have an opportunity to work on your mobility between fights. He goes, there's no better training for fighting than fighting. So you pretty much dive into that. The only thing that really sucks is you knew that this festival was kicking in, and after you give him the gold, he goes, okay, no heavy drinking, no getting drunk, no, he just names off all these things. You're like, but this is all stuff that's going to
you
happen
mean
at the
hell?
festival. Yeah. So,
Ooh.
and then he's like, and then he like introduces you to this stew he makes, which he calls shamoosh, and he just says, "You're gonna eat this. This is your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all your snacks in between for the next week." It's like tasteless gruel.
All right.
He's like everything the body needs. And so you do. I mean, basically, you kind of disappear from your friend, your new friends' lives, except for, as the rest of you are kind of like Grundar. Okay. Also, I'll explain a little more, but I'll come back to you. So, like Grundar, just like that first evening of the festival, which kicked off the next day. The Streamview Inn was just completely smashed, and just way more people than they've ever dealt with. Like on the night that Leonin came back to town and played at the Streamview was like just this. It was a crazy night. Well, imagine this crazy night full of people. Now it's packed solid. Drinking is allowed on the streets, so there's people outside drinking, people inside drinking, people hanging off the balconies, people falling off the balconies, people hanging out windows. I mean, you're like thinking, you're not really a carpenter or a mason, but you're not really certain if this inn can really hold as many people as could possibly be up on the second level.
Sure.
In all the public places that are up there, what few there are, without just falling in on itself, but it somehow manages.
Anytime Grindar's carrying a cask, he's like over his head.
Yeah. Well, really, all people just see, because it's just like wall to wall, like shoulder to shoulder people. So all they just see is like a keg moving through the crowd at about head height. You just kind of balance it on the top of your head.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that first night you end up breaking up a fight between this kind of burly looking, Sawyer, maybe in his early 50s, and he just looks like maybe he's just like spoiling for a fight, and a couple of hungry refugees like just happened to be there, like snagging what they thought was food that was left behind, when really all he'd done was just kind of like lean over to talk to somebody at another table while they like grabbed for it. So you had to kind of break that up, and you did have to give the Sawyer a bit of a thump, to get him to kind of lay off a bit. And then shoo out these refugees, which weren't really paying customers to begin with. But as soon as that happened, the bartender was just like, "You're hired." Like you didn't even ask for a job. He's like, "You're hired." He's like,
I do take a bite of the guy's meal, whatever he was eating.
Perfect. So yeah, and they ended up. Well, you thumped him hard enough to, he passed out, and so you drug him on too. Anyway, yeah, so he's like, "You're hired." He's like, "I've seen you around here. You don't really have a place to stay, do you? If I give you a decent room and as much food and drink as you want," he's like, "You mind doing some jobs for me?" And you're like, "Sure." So you get to know the Streamview and all of its ins and outs.
Hang on, lost my roommate.
Looks like it. And so this week is just an absolute chaotic mess for you. You've never been around this many people, and it's like every day there's just more and more around you. And now the one side effect that you have is that it doesn't make a lot of sense to carry around Snaga when you're just trying to be a bar, like a
Just
barkeep's helper. So you have these like weird feelings of withdrawal. By the time you get back to your room that you set up for in late at night, there's just this strange feeling of kind of comfort as you lay down in bed, and your hand always seems to stray in the night. But when you wake up in the morning, by the time you wake up in the morning, you literally have your axe on the bed with you, laying near it. On the third night, you actually cut yourself.
It's okay,
Is this
Grundar.
new?
I found
Oh shit, this is new, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Grundar, I found a nice blonde replacement, so
So you didn't know where a lot of folks went, but on the mid-morning on the fourth day, there's a merchant from out east, and in fact, he's just really transporting as much as he possibly could from what was left of the wreckage of Laylam's orchard. And a couple things. He brings news that one, this will probably be the last shipment from Leyland's orchard for the season. Pretty much everything else has been destroyed. They're also concerned about however many trees in the orchard had been trampled, so their yield next year is going to be significantly lower. You don't really, he's not talking to you per se, but you're moving kegs while he's talking to the proprietor. And the other thing you learn is that the Knights of the Watch who you encountered in Laylam's orchard have been seen in the high, like the hills to the north of Laylam's orchard, kind of along the kind of craggy mountainous area near the border of the dim forest. And
Sure.
you know what lies beyond there and who lies beyond there. So
Oh,
but-
buddies.
yeah. So anyway, as you're offloading these, you notice something else. Running down the road at nearly a full sprint is Kellenan, but he has like as if he were like a rucksack, this dwarf on his back, who is just he's just insulting the shit out of him, like how he runs like a lame. You
Yes.
you run like a lame dodo bird. Faster, And so he's just like sweating
It's his
profusely.
voice, like
It's just-
high pitched, like do it.
You must. You must.
It's a
No.
very, very foul-mouthed Yoda.
That's awesome.
This is perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, you're just you pause for a moment, to catch your breath and wipe a bead of sweat off of your brow. It's kind of a the even though it's spring,
Oh,
it's starting to
that's
get
so
a little
funny.
warmer, and you just like stop for a minute to mop your brow, and you look, and he's like sprinting as this dwarf is just like hanging on for dear life, like he's riding a bucking bronco, and they just like woof, run past.
As they run past, I point to the dwarf and I say, "Now that's riding."
Jeez.
Doesn't even process that it's Kellen until they're like past, and I've already said it. And I'm like, "Oh hey."
Right. And yeah, so that's pretty much your week. You like I said, you learn a couple of little tidbits. Your friend Algro, that now seems to consider you a friend anyway.
I saw that.
He spends more time in the bar than you understand he did previously. In fact, he's been kicked out of this place a couple of times in the past over the last year or so. Nobody really knows much about him. And you notice that it seems like only when he drinks the house lager, like he can drink just about anything else, including cider from the orchard, which is not what he wants to drink, but he can drink those and he doesn't seem to get too bad. But when he drinks the house lager, he just turns into a real bastard and, is like pinching barmaids' asses and
Sure.
growling at random people.
One of the nights that I'm there, can I just say that maybe I have one little last bit of some stash that I had from somewhere, enough to get him just drunk, and I give it to him, just like, "You drink this for the night." And,
from the reptile god's lair.
yeah, maybe maybe the dark ale, like just that last, just a bit enough to get him drunk, and give that to him, see how he acts.
Yeah, he seems he's more like what you remember first night you met him, where he was just kind of like drinking quietly.
Focused and sullen.
Right. Yeah. It's just that one.
I like
It's just
him
that
better.
one thing he drinks.
I like him better the other way.
What, pinching asses?
Give him the lager. Give him the lager.
So you feed him the lager. All right. Okay.
I don't make mention of my observation to anyone else, is the point.
Got it. All right. So, Leonin, the festival kicks off with words of introduction or reintroduction by the mayor, who you've firmly established as your man. When he refers to Hawkcock, he no longer calls it the free city of Hakak, but he doesn't really expound on that too much. He also talks about, the people being loyal subjects of Farvale and of the Brennan, Duke Owen I, may the gods shine their light upon him, blah, 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 right? And the festival begins. The people all kind of clap and cheer as, fresh kegs are, just basically untopped. And people are literally just dunking their tankards in to get beer, pass it around. There's feasting. They slaughter lots and lots of pigs and sheep, which are kind of common in the area, and a couple of cattle. And the streets are just open to people in their merriment. What else happens on the side though is that there's probably a half a dozen noble houses in Hakak, and they start doing this kind of rotating invitation night after night. There's evidently enough community among the nobles that at least at this point they haven't tried to one up each other, or if they have, they've done it quietly without you necessarily being brought into whatever little infighting they might have between them. But you keep getting these rotating invitations night after night. And it just so happens on one of those nights, you're there with Max, and you happen to see Rose. And at this particular festival, or not festival, at this particular noble, Bacchanalian party, they bring in, you don't know if they're slaves or not, and you're thinking to yourself in your kind of drunken stupor, I think I should check into that on the morrow, because that just doesn't quite seem to fit with the Farvale way. But you can't help but get an eyeful of some activities occurring, which seem to kind of get the fires kindled. And about that time, a woman, wearing a masquerade thing, comes up and she starts murmuring things in your ear, which you don't recall now that you're sober exactly what they were, but at the time they seemed to be great ideas, and you found that you were led off to a room. Sometime during that night,
great ideas.
You realized that it was in fact Rose, and she was everything that you remember. In fact, having nearly 10 years pass, or I think it's 11 or 12 years pass, you find that she's actually more intriguing, more enticing than she was when she was 20, right? Unfortunately, the next morning, as you receive an invitation to her villa, for tea, which would be a terrible affront if you declined. So you go. She reminds you that the previous evening, at some point in the evening, that you had promised to take her son as your page.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why the bodyguard, I need to hire them at some point, just to
protect you from yourself?
Keep me from, yes, exactly. That's why I usually have a mirror around, right? A mirror is like the anti-leonin. It's the yin and the yang. It
kind of is. I haven't thought about it like that, but yeah.
When I have him around, or when I have the priest around, it's like I feel like I can't do bad things. But when I'm left to my own devices, this kind of stuff happens.
So, as you're leaving tea that day, she suggests that perhaps he starts his employment with you, his internship with you on the morrow, and she also leaves you with an open invitation, for as long as you are staying in the city, outside of your ancestral home, that you should have a place appointed to your liking, and she'd be more than happy to set up a set of suites within the Cowles estate for your use in this matter. She even mentions that she would give you the use of Lord Cowl's office, as he has been ailing so terribly that he can't really avail himself of its use anymore.
This is a bad idea. But sure, let's do it.
All right. So she says, excellent. She goes, then I heartily suggest then that young Andre's first job as your new page would be to organize and oversee the transition of your belongings from, the inn that you've been staying at to my home. Your home. In exile, as it were. Well, an exile, but your home.
I'm with you. I'll say that'll be fine, and I'm sure Orson's there, right? Orson or Bethany.
Yeah,
I'm sure Bethanen's probably, because I left Bethanen to oversee like the grand ball, right, or whatever. Or are we doing that or no?
Yeah. So that's interesting. You had indicated that you wanted to use the keep,
Mm-hmm.
the Hawkok Keep, as as the place to do that, right?
Yes.
So Bethnan, he comes back to you probably about the fourth day, and he goes, my lord, he goes, I have, all of the decorations. He goes, I have cooks and provenance and everything we need all ready to go. He goes, but the food will soon spoil if we can't get into the castle. He goes, I've been stonewalled every time I've tried to get in there. He goes, he kind of has hat in hand, and he, like that look of failure, and he goes, I don't know what else to try, my lord.
Okay. First of all, I'll deal with that in 1 second. Let's go back to the roast thing. I'll say, Orson, will you take him and you guys work on that?
Of course, my lord, Orson says.
So,
He's only been back. Yeah. So Orson's only been back 1 day. I mean, I kind of glossed it over, but the wagon train, which picked up some additional wagons along the way, and maybe a few more people somehow. That all rolled into town, swelling Hawkok even more with refugees than it already was. And, you heard that Halric was somewhere, but in this press of people, just out partying in the streets, you never do spot him. First of all, you didn't really know Halric, did you? Because he got taken when you left Leonin, or when you were released.
Yeah, so the two of them were there with the crew.
Yeah.
When they were clearing out the inn, but after that they had disappeared. But I had met them.
Okay. Yeah, you met him briefly.
Very briefly.
Yeah, very briefly.
I mean, Grundar knew him for just a bit longer.
But I still knew that they were traveling with them at the time. So
right. Yeah. So Halrek is nowhere to be found, and you aren't exactly sure how to reach Lana, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
So
yeah, we can get to that. Then I'll send him on that, and then I guess I'd have to go to the castle.
Oh, and speaking of which, before you left Rose's, she goes, a message came for you the day before yesterday, but you were nowhere to be found. This was when you were in the crypts, and she hands you a rolled up bit of like small parchment, just large enough to fit around the leg of the bird. She goes, I didn't want to leave it on the bird, so she says I had to untie it. She goes, sorry.
That's fine, thank you.
All right.
What's so funny?
Don't trust.
She read it.
I'm sure she did. I don't fully trust her right now, to be honest with you. Okay, let's clarify. I don't trust Tony. All right.
Because she was checking me out.
I trust this girl, but I don't trust Tony playing this girl.
She was a doppelganger.
That's a
time.
That's a clarification.
That just makes you the smart one.
Yeah.
I trust her 100%.
Okay. Also, I need to release those 3 gentlemen because I'm not gonna let them be. I'll pay them, or whatever I already paid them to get the cart here. But honestly, I'll get their other buddy out of jail, and that's it. Like I'm gonna be done with them. I'm not gonna be risking my reputation dealing with them. So I'll make sure that they know that.
So you pay the 100 gold for the work they've already done, even though it wasn't a month.
No, I was gonna get their buddy out of jail.
Okay.
Which
Flow
was,
rate.
yeah, 20, and then I'll probably give them like 50 to get here, to bring him here and say, and I'll just say that I do not appreciate the way you guys treated the people in the cart, and for that, I have no use for you, and I'll put the thing of gold on the counter and say, get out of here.
The leader of the 3, this Jarvis, he actually opens the pouch, counts the coin, and with that he bites one in front of you, and then and he takes his sweet time about it, and then he says, "It was a pleasure doing business with you, Governor." And then he gets up, and he and his guys, they walk out.
Fair enough.
God, no, fuck that guy.
We're gonna see him again.
Was Grindar there?
I'm gonna almost guarantee it.
I don't know where did you meet? Where did you meet them at? Streamview is just too damn busy.
No, I met him.
yeah,
I met him
true.
at the office. I met him at
Okay.
the office since I have an
Your
office.
your new office.
My
Okay.
temporary office.
Yeah.
Keyword in the sentence is temporary.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
also
Yeah,
just if there is any like important paperwork or documents, I make sure it gets like put away in a secure spot, not a left on the table or anything like that.
All around these guys.
Leonid's really paranoid right now. Just FYI, he's like super like all of his guards or all of his people have passwords. Everybody has a password.
The monkey is in the bread basket.
So I
right.
guess I have to go to the castle real quick. I mean,
All
I want to like do it quick so we can kind of move on, but
right. So yeah, you go. Do you go alone?
no, I'll go find Grundar.
Okay. So
I don't want to disturb Kellen's
Rose-
training.
Rose actually.
Who are you? Get out of here, you must.
We are training right now. We are.
Keep running, you must. Sorry. So yeah, you.
It's like a new running
you're
trail around the city.
You're looking for some particularly regal clothing that you have really to kind of look the part as you're getting ready to go up there. So you haven't quite left yet. No. Sorry,
I know,
Leonid.
I've been-
Yeah, right. So you haven't quite left.
Hold on, sorry. Grundar is having a suit being made for him. That is a thing.
This is my finest potato sack.
That is the thing. That did happen.
Yeah,
He did get fitted for one.
It is.
Yeah, and you probably paid enough that it's already done. You just have to go pick it up.
Okay.
All right, so you're kind of in front of this polished silver mirror length of mirror, and you're kind of getting yourself ready with your giant neck ruff. I'm kidding. And anyway, you hear a knock at the door, and you see Rose, and she says, she goes, "If I may, I understand that you may be heading up to the keep."
Yes.
She goes, "I think it would be fantastic if young Andre got to see Lord Farvale in action, reclaiming his keep."
How does she know these things?
You're in her house, man.
She read the letter. Come on.
I'm just gonna kind of.
Plus, I mean, that your guy Bethany, he was pretty vocal about his, groveling. Oh God, I'm sorry, my lord. I tried everything. They stonewalled me.
True.
He needs a demotion.
She says that, and then she says, she doesn't even wait for your reply. She just says, "Good hunting, my lord," and off she goes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm just gonna kind of like give like a really long sigh. Just like that says everything that needs to be said.
Sure. Okay. All right. So what do you do?
I'm gonna walk up to the castle.
Okay. So you pass one of your bed chambers where Orson and young Andre are kind of unpacking a few trunks of items that you brought with you that you still were able to recover from the reptile god's kind of stuff. Do you bother either of them, or do you just walk on past?
No, I'm like walking past really quick, like really quickly walking past, and I'm saying, "Let's go."
Oh, they're
like-
like,
Yeah.
yeah. You hear Orson's just like, nope, drop it, let's go. So he's kind of managing young Andre to
Where's
some degree.
Where's Bethden?
Yeah, he's around. You grab him too.
Yeah, and then I'll have to go
Okay.
grab Grundar.
All right. So, all right. You
And
you
Amir if
leave
I can
the
find him.
Cal State-
And Amir if I can find him.
You're not gonna find Amir.
Yeah, he's out in the dim
Amir's
forest.
way
by
too
this
busy.
point. Yeah.
Actually, I will find Amir.
Who?
I'm gonna send Amir a message.
Oh, sending?
I'm gonna do sending to Amir. It says, "Hey, are you in the city?"
No, stop bothering me.
Okay.
Whip out your cell phone.
Yeah.
Quick dial.
Okay, bye. That was a 3rd level spell for nothing? Okay, let's go, moving on. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna walk. I gotta go get Grundar.
Okay. You go
Grundar,
pick up
we
his
got
clothes.
something we gotta do.
All right. You pick up his clothes. Are you doing that too?
Yeah, pick up his clothes too.
All right. So you come in and throw him a package.
Yeah.
Okay. He catches you about midday, and actually, it just so happens that it's about the quietest part of the day, Grundar. And the
Oh,
barkeep.
then I'm eating my lunch.
Yeah, the barkeep sees Leonin and his entourage come in and say like, "Come on, Grundar, we gotta go," and like throws a package onto the table you're sitting at. The barkeep just kind of studiously looks away, like, "I ain't getting involved in lordling shit."
I'm in the middle of a full rack of ribs and a deep pint of ale, and I'm just like,
He looks a little sad.
I take a napkin, like one tiny napkin, and I wipe my face, and there's still just sauce everywhere.
You can take it with you.
It's not the fucking same. And then I just, all the same, I take the ribs, the half the ribs, and I put the half in my pouch.
Saucy covered ribs, throw it in the pouch. All right.
And then you take the package, sauce covered hands and all, and I'm like,
No. I'm gonna. Yeah, that's gonna get set down on the side. Grundar, this is not a napkin. These are for
What
playing.
is it?
These are for playing the bongos later.
He had it for 5 seconds. He already have to cast prestidigitation.
I'm kidding. They're not for playing the bongos. It's the nice outfit that I had made for you for later on this evening or tomorrow evening.
I was gonna get naked. It was the
No,
bongos.
no. Remember,
So-
you can only get naked if me and Killian party together, and that's never gonna
And the
happen.
bongos.
Yeah.
So you now have a set of fine clothes, which
Oh,
is kind of
okay.
an oddity for you.
All right. Well, if I have to find clothes, I wipe my fingers on the normal clothes. I go, bar slob style, and then I'm like, so when should I change?
Tomorrow. Well, obviously
How
before
long?
then. Tomorrow.
How long
before
am I gonna be wearing these?
As long as you want. But
They seem kind of
don't
thin.
wear
I
them.
think they'll
Don't
last
wear them till
for-
tomorrow.
All right.
And they're
So
not
you guys
napkins
all,
and they're not towels.
What the fuck's a towel?
Exactly. Thank you.
so you guys all head up to the keep.
Yes.
You get there and you encounter the same skittish lieutenant again.
By the way, has Armistead isn't? He's not back yet. Okay, I was just making sure.
No.
You
This time they see you approach, and he comes out to the gatehouse,
Mhm.
which is portcullis is currently dropped, and he comes out to the gatehouse. He's standing at the top of it, and he goes as you approach. He says, "My lord."
Someone. Why does everybody yell? Why does everybody have to?
Well,
yell?
he's up on the top of the gatehouse. Yeah, he has to yell.
Why is the gate closed?
I yell back, "Why is the gate closed?"
Thank you, Grundar.
He says the last runner left us with orders to keep the castle secured until such time as Sir Horace Umstead and retinue returned to Hawkok.
Keep the castle secured. From who?
I'm not at liberty to say, my lord.
I'm shouting everything he says.
You're not at lib. Come downstairs.
You're not come down here.
All right, make a persuasion test.
Everything, not verbatim, shouting everything. Exactly. I'm not paraphrasing.
Okay. Yeah. He sized. He like you see him. He's like. You see his little mustache just kind of blow out, and he's like, "I'll be right there, my lord." And you hear clank, clunk, 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 you know. And finally, he's like, raise the portcullis. And eventually, you see they raise enough for like somebody on foot to be able to walk through it. And he comes out with a couple of guards. He goes, "My lord."
So, you're the one currently in charge here, correct? For the temporary moment.
He sighs. He goes, "Yes, temporarily, my lord."
Okay, good. Because I need to use my house tomorrow night for an event. You gentlemen are welcome to stay here and protect the said house. It's going to be a bunch of nobles, but I will be using my house tomorrow evening.
Yeah, he looks like he's maybe going to have a stroke. You're not really sure. And he looks around at his two guys who very studiously are not looking anywhere but like directly ahead at no one. And eventually he blows his mustaches out again. And he says, "Very well, my lord."
So we're not. So my assistant, my attaché here, Bethany, is not going to be having any more problems getting inside and preparing for tomorrow evening.
No, my lord.
Thank you very much. I'm glad we settled this, and I'm gonna openly go out to shake his hand.
Okay. He seems like he's going to be sick, but he shakes your hand, and at that point, Bethnan is like, "All right then." He says, "Orson, why don't you go ahead and prepare the path?" He goes, "Get the servants' entrance ready." He says, and then Bethnan just looks at this lieutenant, and he goes, "Lieutenant," he goes, "we'll be back in less than an hour." He goes, "with several wagons." He goes, "I'll need that portcullis open."
And then as soon as I shake his hand, I'm gonna put my hand on the lieutenant's shoulder and says, "Don't sweat it, Lieutenant. Everything's gonna be okay. You've done nothing wrong here, and I will make sure that people know that."
He just he doesn't look convinced, but he says, "Thank you, my lord."
I
And
pat Bethany on the back, and I'm just like, "See, easy."
And you turn back to kind of because you're up on a larger hill
Mhm.
than Watcher Hill. I mean, the Hawkok Keep was built on really a large kind of promontory overlooking the real stream,
Yeah.
which means it's defensible. Really, one side, you can't even really scale it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just like
up
a sheer
on hill.
cliff,
Yeah.
right?
Right. It's not super high, but it's enough, right? And you couldn't do siege equipment on that side, even from a ship. There's really just no way, right? Anyway, so you kind of turn back to just kind of survey the town again, feeling pretty good about yourself, and you see this boy, Andre, and he's just looking at you, just like wide-eyed, like, oh my God, what have I just seen? Yeah. So anyway, right. So do you do anything more at the keep?
No, that's it. If that had to be done, it had to be done.
Right. Yep. So you go back to, the nobleman's party circuit for the remainder of your time.
I'm gonna say thanks to Grundar. Thanks for coming with me, buddy. I needed to deliver those clothes to you, but don't wear them till tomorrow night.
I take thanks in the payment of meals, ale, gold, women, weapons, favors.
Favors. We'll get to those favors at some point. Or
Okay.
Your fighting
I don't roll
pit
that
or
way.
your fighting pit or something like that.
So we're
That's
gonna
already been established. Come on.
we're gonna fast forward through everything that happened to Amir, just for anyone paying attention again. So Amir, you you woke up the morning that the last session, really thinking about the ring. You cast comprehend languages on it. You realized that these were Urflanish runes, and having cast it and having the kind of memory that you do, you thought back to the previous day when you were down in the dungeon or the crypts, and those words just kind of like come straight out of your memory at you, or I shouldn't say those words, those pictograms, and you put it together in a string, and it said, "Forsaken dead, stay in your tombs. Forsaken dead, stay in your crypt. Nerul shall bind thee in blood." And that it lit not a fire per se, but just like this feeling of dread sort of set root, right there in the pit of your stomach. And so you started thinking about the research that you needed to do to understand what is that place. Why did it feel so cold and awful when you were there? And in hindsight, that feeling has kind of stayed with you. Whether it's the influence of reading what was on this ring, or the memory of that doorway that went nowhere, or just all of the horrifying things that you saw in that crypt. But you went to the one library that was openly available to you, which was at the Church of Palor on Watcher Hill, and you spent an entire day there, just researching. And you went through. You're able to narrow down to a handful of scrolls, like the ones that you really needed to read. You ruled out a lot of others. You got a little bit of understanding on that first day that there wasn't just this isolated doorway, that it had been crafted by someone, and that someone may have been a cult of some kind. But that's as much as you made on the first day. You stayed up really late. On the morning of the second day, as you left your home, as you were about to leave your home, there was a pounding on the door, and this woman named Anna from the neighborhood brought you, or was outside the door. She looked like she was going to have a breakdown at any moment. Well, she wasn't weeping openly like that young woman that led you back to the cemetery. Even so, you were like, okay, this is not right. You immediately, just like your danger sense kind of kicked off. But it was really more the situation, not anything specifically about her. And then you listen to her story as the two of you walk back to her house. And the story was that she and her husband had been arguing regularly for the last few months. She knew of you from the neighborhood and the fact that you helped people, and she was hoping you could help her find her daughter, because she was just worried that her husband had done something awful. And it took her a while to tell you what that was. And she said that because of him not being, he lost work, he wasn't working anymore. They didn't have enough money to feed their family, and he was actively considering taking their 6-year-old daughter and dropping her in the woods, which she found to be absolutely appalling. And she's not really a big fan of her husband Gregor. She thinks he's a drunk. And but anyway, when you got to the house, you were still really suspicious, but she had, both her, what she said were her parents and her uncle there. And so you had these 3 other people who all looked just as equally concerned as she did. And, you assess the situation, not so much that you trusted your instincts about her, but that they believed her. And up to this point, you haven't really bought into a widespread conspiracy. You're at this point where you think you've got somebody, maybe you hope a single individual who can appear to be someone else, but you're kind of like, I think that they, being her family, would know if it was not her. So you decide to chance it. They scrape together. It's not a lot of money. It's just enough really for you to continue to afford to live in your father's home. You're like, that's fine. People have their pride, and one, you can't really afford to do things for free, and two, even if you could, people generally have wanted to find a way to pay you back. And your thought is, if you take their coin, they're less likely to go overboard on things that they couldn't necessarily afford to give you otherwise. So you take the money, and you end up finding through your network of contacts. Well, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. You find out, or you check in with the watch first to see if they know of anything, and they don't. And then you happened to remember that Lana came back, and so you chanced to track her down in a seedy little watering hole right along the real stream. And you did find her there, and she said, "Yeah, I'll check in. I'll see what I can find out." And really, you canvassed the neighborhood. You looked everywhere else. You couldn't find anything else that day. So eventually, you went back to the Church of Paylor to do some more research, and that's when you hit pay dirt that night, the second night. And in that night, you determined a couple of things. One was that there was this cult called the Cult of the Shriven Sickle. It was a native, and this is hundreds and hundreds of years ago, right? So you have to really kind of piece things together at this point from scrolls that are nearly crumbling, right? And you're trying to be really careful not to make them crumble worse. But so these are really, I mean, probably the closest analog. I mean, I'm going to go out of character for a moment, or out of the game for a moment. Probably the closest analog would maybe be like the thuggy cults that worshipped Kali in a feeling of revenge and rage to drive out the Brits.
Right.
And so that's kind of what the sense you get is that these were desperate people who embraced a dark god as a means to possibly drive out these Kioish invaders. Now, what's interesting, of course, taking a moment to look at Leonin, is that the human side of his family represents those Kioish invaders. Only many generations later, after they've established the kingdom here. But that's the Iridian people. They come, they conquer, and they're, it's white privilege. So whatever. And the Flanish people are, very much the Aboriginal people. They did what they could, but they could not. They couldn't really drive them back, so they resorted to guerrilla tactics using this cult. And eventually, the Kioish just drove them straight out of what's now Keeland into Hakak. At least that's what you kind of learn from that one of those 2 scrolls, is that eventually they resettled here. And the legends about how they settled or why they settled here are the stuff of nightmares. And you wouldn't necessarily believe them if you hadn't already seen what was in that crypt. And what now you believe may truly have been prison, not just a crypt. The story and the final legend that you read on one of these mentions an artifact of insane power and sacred to Nerul. But what it is has been ripped from the page, basically like flicked off of the scroll and just it crumbled. And aside from whatever that thing was, there's mention of this kind of story about how a local woman, a Flanish woman, fell in love with the who maybe she knew, maybe she didn't know, was the high priest of Nerul. The two started abducting and and ritually sacrificing young people in that pre-Hawkok, as we know it today, version of the town, in some sort of rite. We don't really know. No one, it doesn't really describe what that was or why. But then the town figured out somehow, and then came, and a mob of them just murdered them. Murdered them all, and then imprisoned their remains. What now you're kind of put the pieces together. It's probably that crypt. So. And it just like a chill sets over you, like something that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and you have a relic of that, you think, in your pocket, and you've seen those doors, which feel strangely like something you can't unsee. So anyway, you're probably up till 3 or 4 in the morning, just absolutely exhausted, ready for bed. You get back to your place only to find Lana skulking in the shadows near your house, and that's when she says, "Hey, found Gregor. He's out at the refugee camp at this little, shanty sort of alehouse." So you're like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll get sleep later." So you head out there and you find him in a ditch nearby. You kind of smack him around until he wakes up, and he just blubbers about like what a horrible person he is. He knows it, and it takes you probably an hour, and maybe a little bit of rough handling to get him to admit that he dropped her in the woods. He gives you some general idea of the direction, but you yourself have never really been too far into those woods. And that's when you're like, I need somebody who knows the woods. And so that's when you set about searching for Círdan, or not Círdan, sorry, Killian. My
Killian.
gosh. It
The old
takes you
one.
probably.
There's so many Ks.
Yeah, I see. I
Speak of the
Nate,
devil. There
I
he
see Nate kind of perks up.
pops
So
out of there.
You catch up to Killian by going to talk to Lord Círdan, the Reeve, which you're a little leery of talking to him just because he's already been compromised, or at least he's been mimicked, and so you're not really sure, am I talking to the right one? But he says, as it happens, Killian returned a day ago, and I've given him the use of the ambassador, the Sylvan ambassador's home, as a base of operations, and you can likely find him there. You already know where that is because you've been there.
Yep.
So you go and you track Killian down. He listens to your story. He seems genuinely interested, and he agrees to give you a hand. So the two of you head into the forest. When you get in there, you eventually do find the girl's tracks. The unfortunate thing is that she ends up wandering off in a direction taking her deeper into the forest. She's sick. She probably has no idea how to go home, right? And you can see all kinds of signs that Killian points out, like where she stopped, she turned around, she definitely didn't take a straight line in any given direction, truly acting like a lost child. But eventually Killian grows quiet as you get to a particular area, and you're like, you have no idea what he's looking at. And then he looks back up at you and he points to something in particular, and he says, you see those are wolf prints. And you're like, your eyes get big. You're like, those are the biggest freaking wolf prints they're huge. And that's when Killian says, these aren't normal wolf prints. He goes, I've seen these before here in the dim forest. These are dire wolves. He goes, and this over here, this heavy boot, it's a bit bigger than a human's, deep, that's an orc print. He goes, we've got direwolf riders. And he goes, they've intersected. These are the girl's last prints. He goes, they've apparently taken her. He goes, the good news is I haven't really found any other evidence or sign. So, without another word, you take off following Killian, who sets a really hard pace. In fact, several times he looks back.
Here we
and has
go
to stop
again.
to let you catch up. And you were just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. In fact, that kind of second wind of sorts kind of sets in, and you're doing okay for quite a while. But this goes on for about 2-3 days as you track deep into
Lord. And in the meantime, you get a
the forest.
phone call.
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't bother me now.
Yeah, that's why I very curtly say, no, I'm not in the city.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
He's like, except he doesn't really say it like that. He's like,
Yeah.
can't talk right now. Not in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made yourself sound really cool. Can't talk right now. Click.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, in Amir's mind, that's how it would have worked if he had not been so drop dead tired.
Right. So anyway, you head off following Killian, who sets this really hard pace through the forest. At first you're feeling really, aside from having that second win, you're really good because you're like, he's an insanely good tracker, and the way he beats a path through the forest makes it easy for me to keep pace with him, or almost, right? But at least you're moving through the forest far more rapidly than you'd be able to do on your own. One, you don't even know if you could follow any tracks or have found them to begin with. And he seems so sure of himself. But on the third day of being in the forest, which, by the way, you have taken breaks, but they've not been nearly long enough for you. And you just never really have caught up to that, that one day of no sleep. And so on the third day, you're just barely vertical, and you're at this point you're just like almost running on auto. And Killian is just like, he's like, wait here, and he just leaves you like standing on the edge of this brook. It's not even really a stream, and you see he goes up one side, and he probably is gone maybe 2 hours. And you see him come back down the other side of the stream. He's just got like his brows furrowed in concentration. He doesn't look happy, and he doesn't even talk to you. He just goes the other direction down the brook, and you wait. By this point, you're like, hell, I might as well just set like a small camp, And so you do, and you're waiting. And about 2 hours again later, after you saw him that next time, he comes back again, and he actually looks a little winded, like he's moved fast. And he looks kind of bleak, and he sits down at the fire that you've created. This is a small fire, and he says, "I've lost them." And it looks like it cost him something to say that. He says, "I found no sign of the girl at all." He goes, "I think they took her." But he goes, "I'm relatively confident that they didn't cast her aside, and they didn't leave her in the river." He goes, "She may still be alive."
Well, there's still a chance then.
He says, "Yes." He goes, "But it's if they left anywhere along this river," he goes, they surely would have done it much sooner than as far as I went afield." He goes, "And if they hid their tracks, it's beyond my woodcraft." He looks up at the light, and he says, our provisions are nearly out. He says, "I can keep us going if you must." He goes, "But I don't know how much further we can go."
Well, we've lost the trail, and to be honest, I can barely move. So,
He goes, well, then let's camp for the night, get a long night's rest. He says, I'll set first watch. You get some rest. He goes, we'll leave in the morning.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd set that camp probably like 1 in the afternoon. So you got a little bit of energy back just sitting there for 4 hours, but you end up just sleeping solid, and he never does wake you for your shift. Finally in the morning, he just nuzzles you, or not nuzzles you, just nudges you awake. He nuzzles it close. Sorry, wrong wording. he nudges you awake, and you break camp and head back to Hawcock, which takes you another day and a half. So, get back to town.
Which I would talk with Killian kind of along the way, asking what he knew about orcs in the forest and where they might hold camp and all that good stuff.
Remind me what I talked to you about when you were playing Killian, Nate, about the orc, what your father knew of the orcs in the forest.
Well, he was saying that they had gotten together with the other elves in the dim forest, and were basically setting a net and moving to drive them out over like a large area. But we didn't get into specifics of where they were, exactly located.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's your answer. So you head back to Hawcock?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you get back roughly about a day before sort of the big bash that's expected to happen that evening. So that kind of catches you guys up to where you are. Kilinan, you. Oh, go ahead.
I would still again like to try. So if I don't find Lana by the day before the party, I'll just try and find her via message. Not message, but I'll just
sending.
Yeah, sending. I'm just gonna start calling. I'll call her on the cell phone.
Right,
That's
okay.
Lean's cell phone. I'm just gonna call her on the phone.
All right, you quick dialer.
You used to call me on my spell phone.
Yeah.
Spell phone. I like that.
So what do you say to them?
I'm gonna say hi, Lana. I got like 25 words. So, hi, Lana. This is Leonin. Would you come to meet me at the...
Is it just me? Did he break up a bit?
No, just you. I heard it.
Oh, okay.
Would you
Sorry,
come
Sam.
to
Lana,
meet
would
me
you-
Okay.
at... Where am I staying?
Well,
the Cowles Estate.
The Cowles Estate. Yeah.
The Cowles Estate. Excuse me. Leonin Farvale. Let's make sure that gets put on there.
So 21.
Who the hell
21
yeah.
words.
Okay. Okay, the message you get back is, who is this? How is this even happening? And she gets about halfway through and then it breaks off. So you have no idea if she's going to show up. And then probably, I don't know. So that evening, what do you do that evening? Or you have an invitation to somebody's party.
Yeah, I'd go to that.
Okay. It ends up running really late. As you're there listening to some a harp being played and there's wine. This was kind of more of a laid back affair. What looks like a servant approaches you with some more wine, and you hear a woman's voice. She says, "More wine, my lord."
Please?
Okay. As you're plucking one off of her plate, she says, "You wanted to see me."
I'm gonna be like, ah!
She says, "Act normal, damn it."
Yes, we should talk, but not here.
She says, "I'll wait for you outside."
Yep, sounds good. Be there in a minute.
All right, and she goes around and offers some more wine until her platter is empty, and then off she goes. And
Is Grundar the only one intrigued? No, I'm just kidding.
so you
What's the word for it?
you had to go meet her outside.
Yeah, I'll go meet her outside and.
Yeah, you don't see her anywhere, but you just kind of like walk out, very openly, and then sure enough, once you kind of step far enough away from the house, you see kind of like a shadow move out of a bush, and she's like, now she's wearing like more what you recall her wearing briefly, for the time that you knew her, which is like dark leathers and a dark cloak. She goes, "So thanks for scaring the shit out of me. Now what do you want?"
Hey, you do so. We did the same thing to each other. That's cool. Yeah, it's a new spell I picked up. It's kind of fun. So I don't know if you remember.
She just looks at you lovely, and she, "I don't give a shit if you are alone. Don't ever do that again."
Ow, that was harsh. Damn.
She goes, "Now what do you want?"
I was looking to potentially hire you to. Well, first of all, do you know who I am?
She goes, "Yeah, we met, remember? Yeah."
Okay. So, my name's Wardens of Farvale, and this is I'm the rightful leader of this city, and I am currently looking for a bodyguard or somebody that is very useful in finding out information and being by my side during certain things. And I was wondering if you'd be available for the job. Oh,
She says,
hang on.
"Hey!"
Hey.
There he is.
What a mess. Hey guys,
Okay,
How's it going?
now we're
Hey.
good.
I kill everyone. How many XP did I get?
You missed your flight and you get 0 XP.
That's right. All right. Okay, so you'll just have to kind of listen in and follow along, and I'll try to give you a little spot here too, Balner. So,
All right.
So anyway, back to you. She says, Lana says to you, if the price is right, she goes, "I'll do any job, if it's within my abilities."
Well, what do you want?
You see a smile from under her hood. She says, "What are you offering?"
Well, what do you want?
She says, "Blank check."
Not a blank check. But I know you know Grundar, and I know you know Amir, and I know you know Killian, and I've been traveling with them, and I know that we could potentially, continue our relationship as well. I know we've only met, and you met me in the middle of a cellar, but you've known those gentlemen for a long time, and they've all said they've been willing to help me, and so I figured you're the next person on the list. So what? Again, I ask you again. What are you asking? What do you want?
She ponders it for a moment, and she kind of straightens a bit, and she looks around. And you're in like a really nice neighborhood, I mean, this is like the nobility. And she looks a little bit further out, like into kind of more of the bourgeoisie sort of area. And she says, "You see that apothecary over there?"
Yeah.
She says, "I want it."
You want the actual? You want an apothecary shop, or you want that one?
"I want that one." She says, I happen to like it."
Don't think I can. Okay, so how this lordship thing works, I can't just take things from people. That's just not how it works. Like
She says, "No. She says, "No. She says, I've heard of how you make things happen." She says, like, I'm sure you can work out some amazing thing. She goes, but I'm quickly growing bored.
Wow.
I think we met Leonin's match. That's pretty awesome.
She starts to lower her hood, kind of like pull her cloak more tightly about her. She says, but if you think it's beyond your ability.
Oh.
As I say again, I don't take things from people that aren't mine. And I won't remove somebody from their personal shop. If you wanted your own shop, we could work out something.
She says, and you don't think you can convince the owner that you can?
It's not a matter of ability to convince them. It's a matter of principle. That's what it is. I personally will not do it.
Guys, Leonin banged Cersei.
And now he's talking about principles. Okay.
As you say.
I was drunk, okay?
She
That's what Jamie said.
she turns away and that's my price. And then she's gone.
All right, well.
She's got a price, guys.
Dang.
Oh,
All right.
shit.
She helped me for free.
No.
I know. I probably had to pay her.
Oh yeah, just stick a knife in there. Why don't you? All right.
I'm a
Well,
motherfucking PIM.
let's catch up. Jason. So, Jason, I know you've been really super busy, but what we did is we advanced the timeline for a week, and everybody kind of is catching up to this point, which is the night before, kind of the culmination of we're going to call it the Restoration Festival, and that leads into the Green River Festival. So it's like 2 weeks of solid festivals, which Kellenan, of course, cannot partake of any of it because he's training right now, and he can't have booze or anything to eat but this like shitty gruel that this dwarf gave.
Found alcohol is.
That's right. So anyway, so that's what he's doing, and I won't get into everybody else, but so they've spent roughly at this point a week doing their own thing, and it kind of it's like have you been like largely tending your temple, or did you have anything particular that you were looking to do?
I figured I would, tend the temple, but I don't know if there's farms or anything on the outskirts of town that I could visit and, spread the word of Marika and blessings and things.
It's very priestly.
So you tend to your flock.
Go to the refugee camp.
I will say, Tony, that I did specify that one of my days was spent half painting. One of the paintings, well, the one painting that I did is I wanted to paint a visage of the symbol of Marika in the background with Balner in the foreground, and I wanted to gift it to him. Just on the pure white canvas, but with the symbol of Marika in the back, with Balner, and it's just like a rough painting. That's the only painting I did, and then I practiced my reading for the rest of the day.
Okay, all right.
So.
Okay. Well,
there you go, Balner.
We'll see if Balner shows up to the stream.
Oh, that's true.
So, all right. Let's see.
And then I also tend to the whatever they call the displaced peoples.
Oh, the refugees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Officiate over any weddings that they want to happen, or help ease their suffering in ways that I can.
Okay. Give me just a second. Do a quick check for you. I'm not even sure which one's the better of the two. Probably persuasion. I think you have persuasion.
I've got wisdom and religion.
Oh, okay.
Insight.
Nice.
I think I've got insight as well.
You rolled a 17 on your religion check.
You head out to you do exactly as you said. So you spend the requisite times, morning and evening, like dusk and dawn, in prayer at the temple at the small shrine to Marika, and then you head out like day one to some outlying farms, and you do that for a couple of days. It's like probably about the third day, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go into the refugee camps and see what's going on there, heal the sick, see what you can do there. And you end up with like, from going out to the farms, you end up like with gifts of like just baskets of food, more than you could possibly use anyway. So like, well, maybe I'll just use some of this stuff to see if I can feed some of these refugees, right?
Oh man, I'm gonna start a stampede, aren't I? Dude,
So
that should be like a total loaves and fishes moment where Marika just makes the basket unending food for a while.
You should just bring a fishing rod and teach them.
you end up yeah, hang on a second. Let me take a look and see if you've got the spells too. You could do some of that.
I don't know if I can summon food yet or not.
Is that a thing?
But, by the way, anyone that's watching,
Create food and water.
Ballner, the character getting
Actually, I
recap
think
right
I do
now,
have create food and water.
he's tending from a
You do?
phone, so he can't see his rolls or anything.
Yeah, let's see what you could do. You cast a lot of that. Yeah, well, it's create or destroy water. So you can create clean water, not necessarily food, but you got food. You can do that. You can purify food and drink, and that's actually a pretty big deal too, because a lot of these refugees have like really rotten. So you end up, you bring food, you purify what's there, you create more water. You end up
Healing the sick, curing diseases.
Yeah.
Just need to walk on water. Where's ice knife when I need it?
Shaking
Right.
hands, kissing babies.
Right. You
Roll for blasphemy.
you actually end up officiating over just a spate of marriages that only happened because you happened to be right there. And there people are like, oh, there's a priest here, and with you, doing all of these good works in the refugee camp, people are feeling better, and like one guy says, I always intended to get married to Bessie here, but I didn't think I was going to make it. You saved my life. Can you marry us? And you find out that a lot of these people are actually they're not necessarily believers in the Flanish gods, but Pelor sort of crosses boundaries in ways that other Flanish gods don't necessarily do, as the sun god. And you find out a lot of these people are like believers in Pelor, and having officiated over a couple of impromptu weddings right there. In fact, you do this kind of like Mooney's style mass wedding with like 4 couples.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get back and word gets back to Father Polemius, he tells you that he thanks you for taking care of his flock. He didn't even know they were out there, and now he will go out and minister to them, considering what you've done. But more so, he lets you know in no uncertain terms that he owes you one big time for what you did.
I just, invite him to come with me the next time I go.
Sure, and you do. You introduce him to, some of his new poorer flock from some other cities further in Jeff that came here seeking refuge or seeking asylum with horrible tales. And you hear, by the way, lots of tales of humanoids and giants and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, great. It's all going to go to heck, isn't it?
Even more giants.
And then the next day I work and try and bring even more priests and stuff from the church, from the other religions.
Oh, out to the refugee camp?
Because, there's a whole bunch of them there, so.
Okay, yeah. All right, you do. That's pretty much what you spend the week doing. Are you still staying at the Streamview Inn?
Yeah, I will for now.
Okay.
Just because, it's convenient for staying in touch with my friends and whatnot.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you get there, and you really haven't spent a lot of time there except to go to bed. And generally, it's been pretty late at night, and it's always been crazy busy when you came in, even late at night, and it's been difficult getting to sleep. You've actually kind of contemplated, even though it'd be uncomfortable to maybe set up shop in one of those cells beneath the church that Father Polemius mentioned would be yours. But anyway, you end up going in, and sure enough, you see a keg kind of floating at about head level over the crowd, which you're like, okay, that's clearly Grundar. And you haven't really seen a lot of your companions since you've been in town the last week.
Okay. Go check out Grundar and see how he's doing.
By the way, you already know that she's interested, by the way. Grundar.
Okay. Oh, hey, Balna. I forget her name, but
Delaney.
thank you. I'm kind of, carrying a keg overhead, and I'm just like, what are you doing tonight? Are you coming in for the night? You done with your business? Done blessing everything and doing all that stuff?
Yes, for the day. I've been out tending to the sick and the needy.
Well, good. I know someone who's actually pretty sick right now. In a hot place. That girl over. You see that girl over there? And I start whispering, and I'm now holding the keg with one hand, and I'm pointing.
I can't
It-
even. This
See
is
that
amazing.
girl over there?
Is this the little halfling serving lady?
Yeah,
Is
he
it?
points.
Yeah.
He points over, and your eye tracks toward. This
She's really
kind of
hurting.
buxom halfling woman. She's probably 20s, or whatever that is equivalent for a halfling. You're fairly confident they don't live as long as dwarves, but you kind of track where Grundar's looking. You see her, and the moment you look in her direction, you see she looks over at you and she smiles, and with her one free hand, she waves at you.
I nod and wave
Yes.
back.
But she's like,
She's
on the other
really
side of the
hurting.
bar, which would be impossible to get to unless you're like a freaking ranger, because it's all rough terrain. Too many people.
So,
Right.
I think she probably needs some healing, and you should probably go talk to her. So, I gotta go.
Okay.
I don't know if Grundar has a better relationship or I have a better relationship. I haven't decided yet.
Wait, what?
I was kidding.
I slowly thread my way through the crowd to the woman to find out what is going on with her and.
Yeah, she
and-
sees you coming her way, and she drops off, like, you see, maybe a little more quickly than she normally would. She drops off all of her drinks and a big plate of bread and milk at the table, and she is working her way through the crowd to get to you. She's got like her big round kind of plate thing, platter, and she's like using it to try to like make a wedge between people on her way to you. And so, I mean, you guys are. You pretty much have to get on a chair to easily see people in here, because like most of these are human. I mean, they're just packed in so tight. So like you think you lose her, and then she like hops up on the back of somebody's chair, like on the little rail, and then she'll spot you and then back down again, and you eventually find each other. And she's a little breathless when you finally get to her, and she says, "Hey, Valner, you need a drink?"
Sure. Grundar said something about you had someone that was sick and you needed help.
I'm not sure. She goes, "Hey, let's just head up to the bar and drink, and you can tell me more about what it is you're talking about. I don't understand."
Okay.
She's kind of like using the little platter again to kind of work her way through the crowd, and she's kind of like talking to you over her shoulder as she goes, and she goes, "I'm sorry, who's sick?"
Well, I was under the impression that you were sick, or someone you cared about was. Sorry, it's kind of the days are kind of running together. I've been out helping the refugees.
She goes, "No, it's okay." She goes, and it's kind of loud in here, and it's like this all week so far. She goes, it's not going to let up next week either. She goes, that's just the Green River Festival, and it's like just as bad. But she's like yelling, because it's like just the dull of this bar. Way too many people in here, all yelling to be heard. She gets up to the bar, and she just like uses hand signals, to kind of let him know what she needs. And she turns back around with a mug of what you normally get here, and she just gives it to you, and she goes, on the house tonight, and she gives you a wink.
Thank you. And I drink my beer.
Okay. That's it?
Well, obviously she's probably busy tending bar and things, so,
Yeah.
I'll talk with her as she's, in between pouring drinks, but...
Yeah, you kind of just set up at the bar, and she's like, she gives you like 3 seconds, and you just drink your beer and don't say anything. And she's like, well, I got to get back to my tables, and off she goes, right?
Okay.
So she comes back.
I use insight when she comes back.
All right, I'll roll it for you.
I'm gonna make sure she's not lying to me about being sick. Nice.
Yeah, you figure by about the third time that she comes back. So, I mean, where you're at the bar now, there are other places that would be easier for her to order and pick up her beers, but she keeps coming back to where you are to just make idle chatter. You find out that, or at least she's not admitting to any sickness. And by the third time that she does this, you're like, oh.
Hell yeah.
Well, Volner's kind of been, alone and wandering about the lands for quite some time, so...
He healed her already.
So yeah, she continues to make small talk, and she asks you. She goes, I've seen you come in here the last couple nights. She goes, but you've been really busy, and I assumed that you, I don't know, doing priestly things, but whatever it was. She goes, you really didn't stay up late. She goes, are you deciding to cut loose a little tonight? And she hands you another free beer.
I can. It's going to be difficult to sleep without some libations, I think, with the noise that's going on. I've been spending my time helping the refugees and healing the sick and helping them with their food, their water, and even attending, officiating over a couple of marriages.
Oh wow, so, really? Who got married? Anybody I would know? Just.
Well, these are all refugees, so I don't know that they're even allowed in the city.
Mm-hmm. You realize that you've drank about a half a dozen beers and you haven't paid for a single one of them yet, which is not typical.
And I start fishing around for a coin.
She, as you're doing that, she stops you by putting her hand on yours, and there's this kind of moment, like a pause, where she, she's like, you don't need to, and then she just kind of stops when she realizes that, her hand has touched yours, and she's just like, oh.
So,
guys, this is my favorite anime.
Probably not a good time to ask, but do you have any free time when you're not working the bar?
She laughs out loud. She goes, aside from getting a few hours of sleep, she goes, probably not until after the Green River Festival, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of the same way lately.
Okay. So, this talk continues into the evening, and you've had probably 9 or 10 drinks, none of which you've paid for. Each time she doesn't ask you for coin. And it's gotten pretty late. The crowd's starting to thin out a bit.
My character's got like what, charisma of 8?
Yeah, it's not so good.
I mean, I do lean on my intelligence pretty hard too, though. So
I try to lean on my wisdom pretty hard.
Where's Leanin when you need him?
Right? Yeah. So eventually the crowds sort of. Well, during the festival, yeah. I mean, it never really truly ends, but I mean, people just sort of fall asleep on the floor here at the stream view, and you see finally Delaney just sort of slumps, and there's nobody really like ordering anything. The bartender has been replaced with like a nighttime bartender, and she just kind of slumps at the stool next to you, and she goes, "Oh my God, my feet and back hurt so bad."
Oh yeah.
Healer.
I lay on the hand.
You rub her back for a little while. She
Well, I actually meant like magically, but that works too.
Oh, okay. You heal her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I feel totally
God.
fine now."
I mean,
Okay.
I
Oh
do it
my
while I do it while massaging, but
Oh.
magic fingers and all
Yeah.
that.
She's like, "Wow." She goes, "You really do have healing hands." This goes on for quite a while, and she even makes a few interesting kind of sounds as you rub her back, and then actually at some point she just says, "Are you heading up to bed for the night?"
Yeah,
Oh.
I should start heading that way.
Okay. She's like, "Okay." So you do?
Yep.
Okay. She follows you.
Okay. Obviously, she must have a room up.
You're right. She just throws her dish rag over to the bartender, and she follows you up. And as you head to your room, you step inside, and as you go to close it, like she's like right there in your room.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you need something else?
And she slams the door shut and throws you on the bed. She's like, "Shut up, you stupid idiot."
And she
that's
turns
that.
into a demon, and
That's right.
No, she lays on the
Is it the same room Amir was in?
That would be hilarious, but no.
no,
Dang.
I've had my own room.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. Okay.
That's a line for the ages. I lay on the
hands. That's so great.
All right.
That's
So-
too good.
So it's the morning of the great culmination of the festival. What do you guys want to do?
Have I
Wake
made
up
it
from
back
the
into town
hangover.
yet?
Oh, yeah, sorry. By the time you got back to town, it was so late at night. You're like, I don't want to disturb.
Oh
you.
yeah, I would have went straight home.
Yeah, and you were like, basically you're kind of like trying to find any decent excuse not to go tell her anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So when do you go there first thing in the morning then?
Yeah, I
Okay.
kind of have to.
Okay.
Oh,
You
I
see
wait.
her as you approach the house. She's outside, just like sort of sweeping off the front porch, and you see she like looks up, sees you approach, and then immediately looks away and goes back to sweeping. And she looks upset.
Gregor must have returned at some point. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go up to her, and kind of let her know what I found out.
She says, "The brute returned 2 days ago." She goes, "And he told me what he did." She goes, "And since you don't have my daughter," she sets the broom aside, and she sort of just kind of steals herself at like one of the posts, kind of holding up the porch. She says, "Okay, I'm ready.
Me and a wood elf friend of mine, we tracked her through the forest, and well, we came across some other tracks. We think that she may have been taken by orcs.
You see at that she breaks down. She's like, "Oh gods, it's worse than I thought." She goes, "You could have told me that she'd been taken, killed by wolves." She goes, "That would have been horrible enough." She goes, "But orcs." She goes, "It's oh my god." She goes, "It's so much worse." She breaks down for just a little bit, and then she kind of gets herself under control, and she says, she kind of straightens her back, and she says, "Is there anything else you want to tell me, Amir?"
Nothing that you would want to hear.
She just like says and does nothing for a moment, just like completely, just God, jeez, she just completely like goes still for a moment, and then eventually she kind of nods her head, like in some sort of resigned, kind of confirmation. She says, "Well," she says, "you've done what you could." She goes, "I appreciate everything that you've done, Amir, and the money is yours. Thank you."
I kind of look at her one more time. Just, I'm sorry, and then I'll go on my way.
Okay. Yeah, you feel awful. I mean, you've you've seen a whole lot of different things, but like
Yeah.
you've never really not found your mark, right? And that part just that part just kind of continues to just needle at you. You've always, even if it was a bad ending, you always found what you were looking for.
Yeah.
And it just bugs you.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't tell her everything because I didn't want to give her hope, like false hope. You know,
Mhm.
that the girl might still be alive.
Mhm.
But
You could tell she considers her to be out of her reach.
yeah,
And probably
gone.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So before we move on, I want to take a quick 5-minute break, quick bio break, and get some more water, and we'll be right back, and we'll jump right in. And now these messages.
And now a word from our sponsors.
That's right. All right. Be back momentarily, guys. mic or the boom mic up and back down automatically. Come back on. Weird. Okay. So Amir, where do you head next?
Well, I know is it the day before or the day of the Big Bash?
It is the morning of the Big Bash.
The morning of the Big Bash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's something that
It's more
even
like
Amir wouldn't
party,
want
not really a bash.
to. We can call it a hootenanny, hoedown,
Oh God!
whatever you want to call it. That's one hell of a hootenanny.
Thank you, Texas.
Yes, Texas for the win.
A hootenanny. Oh my God.
Hootenanny. Yeah, I would head to the stream view to rendezvous with my compatriots.
Right. When you left Killian, he did say, if there's anything I can do to assist, again, he goes, let me know. He tells you flat out, he goes, my priority is to do what I can to heal the wounds between our peoples. He goes, if it's salvageable. But that last thing he says is a little ominous, like he's not 100% convinced that it is.
Thanks for what you have done so far. And if you ever need my services, don't hesitate.
He says, well, because I assume you caught him up on everything that happened while he was out. He says, well, I have my suspicions. He goes, he says, right now I'm working most closely with Kirdan. He says, I mean, up to this point, he's dealt with me fairly. He goes, I don't know if that's necessarily, if he is who he says he is, or if there's something more there. He goes, but I have a suspicion that the things that happened to you perhaps also happened to the ambassadors. And of all the things that have happened, he goes, that may be the most damaging thing that this person or entity has done.
Perhaps so.
So he says, he goes, I would be on the lookout if I were you, if I had your skills, I'd be on the lookout for this renegade. He goes, and if you need my help, because you're still in the woods, and you see he just kind of like, tests the bow a little bit. If you need my help, let me know. So anyway, so you head over to the stream view. When you get there, you see the place is already busy, but off to the side there's a wagon, and you see a familiar dwarf unloading kegs off of that wagon. Looks like he just completed. It is Grundar. You guys can talk now.
I'll approach Grundar. Oh, look at you. I guess did you get hired on?
What? Huh?
Did they hire you?
I'm just kind of helping out and getting some ale and some food.
Oh, by the way,
pretty good gig.
I do need you, Grundar, to also make a Constitution saving throw.
That's right.
Drinking too much beer?
No, he's been overly busy.
Oh.
A con saving throw?
Yep.
Do I get advantage on this? No, because I'm not reaching. That's
no,
right.
It's not a poison thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, that's right.
It's just for exhaustion.
Next is con. Yeah.
Yeah, then
you're fine. Good. Yeah, you've been pushing yourself a little hard, but you've made those two healing potions.
I'm drinking those coffee stouts while I'm working at the inn.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, you're fine, both of you.
Cool.
Deal. So they're paying you in food and lodging, I assume.
Hey.
Maybe. Well, they're
I'm gonna be getting fucking paid for this.
The bartender's gonna hate me. Yeah, you probably should have been paid for this. Yeah. How are they compensating you, Grundar?
Food and ale.
How much
You know what?
food
It's
and ale?
probably enough. A lot. A lot. A lot. Like a lot.
Okay, then they're probably more than paying for your services then. I've seen how you eat and drink.
Gundar
Yeah,
walks over like 5 seconds to go and ask the bartender, and he like hits him with like something, and he just comes back up. He's like, "Yeah, yeah."
The bartender chases you out. He goes, "No! I'm absolutely happy to deal. I'd rather pay you. Is that okay? Can we go to that deal?"
It's less expensive.
Hey, what's that? What do you mean?
In these, he says, and he holds out like.
I don't know what that is. And then I turn to Amir and I go,
Oh man.
Damn it! Did you wink with your wrong eye?
Okay, about this time, as you guys are out front having this conversation, you hear, yeah, and you see Kellinan, and he's like bent over, sweating profusely, and he's like stripped to the waist. He's just wearing a pair of breeches, and he's got like the around his.
"You're muted, Tony."
Yeah, you cut out.
Nope.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
No.
I don't know why that happened. Weird. So you hear this, yeah, and you see come around a corner, Kellinan, and he's just like huffing and puffing and sweating profusely, and he's only got a pair of breeches on and his boots, but he's no shirt, but he's just sweating like crazy, and he's got this halter on, and then tied to the back of the halter, there's like a rope, and that rope goes to like a sleigh, like that you would usually like have like maybe one, possibly two horses pulling, okay? And in the sleigh is this dwarf, and he's just like, keep moving, come on! And you just see Kellen, and he's just like, he just goes charging by.
Look at Grundar. What was that about?
That'll live.
So yeah, Nate, you think that, or Kellen, you think that this dwarf is perhaps just simply trying to kill you, but just like when you think you're about to collapse, like he'll take a little weight off, right? But he's like constantly trying to keep you at the edge of exhaustion, like quite a bit of the time, and then eventually give you time to recover. But then it's like right back at it again.
Nice.
So anyway, you happen to notice that you see at least a couple of your companions out in front of the stream view. You really haven't noticed them, and you've been at this now for about a week. And so, do you keep at it, or do you do you do something else?
Oh yeah, I'm invested. I'm gonna keep at it.
He's just like, Austria's just like, keep it up, boy. He goes, you keep at it, and I'll give you 2 helpings of shamoosh when you get back.
All right. Starting to like this stuff.
So yeah. Anyway, you hear him. You hear this dwarf you've never seen before, just bawling all of this out at Kellen, and just treating him like he throws him insults, tells him how his pregnant mother, who had triplets, could outrun him. Shit like that.
Pregnant mother who had triplets.
Great.
So anyway, yeah, you notice that as you go by. But yeah, Grundar, you see that Amir looks like something's bothering him. You've gotten to know your companion pretty well over the last few weeks.
Hey, what's wrong?
It's like
Straight to the point with you, Grundar. It's one of the things I like about you.
There's always a point, and I prefer to stick 'em with it.
It's true. Well, over this past week, I was searching for a little girl out in the dim forest with Killian. It seems some orcs picked her up, and we tried to track them, but we couldn't. They eluded us. I've
Where'd the
never
trail end?
not found what I was looking for.
Where'd the trail end? To the north?
By the way, about this time, Balner, you ended up sleeping in a lot later than you. You come out from the front of the inn, feeling like you could have another full day of rest.
Yeah, so I'm talking with
Do I have a cure hangover spell?
You purify food and drink inside your own body.
Combination of lesser restoration and cure wounds.
Right.
Lay on the hands.
Yeah,
It's a
so
different spell entirely.
you come stumbling out. He's got like bags under his eyes, like more so than he normally does. But he seems oddly contented.
But yeah, I'm talking with him.
I see Grundar looks at him, and I see Grundar has a shit-eating grin. So I'm like, I think I know what happened.
But I ask Amir, could you trail end in the north? To the north of here. Between here and Leyland's Orchard.
I don't know, Tony did it. I don't know. I don't know the geography as well.
Yeah,
so.
you're. Well, roll a history check. Geography is not your strong suit, but as it turns out, you did spend a little bit of time with Killian, like as you were traveling, and he took little breaks, and Killian was
It'd
like
be to the
drawing
north
things
one.
out. Yeah, he was just drawing things out. Well, it's northeast actually, but yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so he was
yeah,
just drawing
correct.
things out. You're like, okay, here's where we are. This is where we're headed. And as it turns out, in the dim forest, the trail that you were headed on would have taken. I mean, obviously, you're already north of the city.
Yeah.
Would have taken you east.
So
And you're
somewhere north of Leyland's Orchard, then.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes, it was north of Leyland's Orchard.
And you're like, Amir, that's an incredibly specific question.
Yeah, something that I would not have expected from Grundar. Why do you ask?
I know where the orcs are. I know exactly where they fucking are. I know everything about the orcs. Amir, I am an orc.
And you're like, and for a moment, you're like actually thinking like, what was he polymorphed? Like, is he literally saying he used to be an orc and now he's an orc?
I'm thinking of all the different ways.
How could that be?
Think about where you found me.
He self-identifies
in
as
an
an
orc
orc.
camp. Yeah.
In an orc camp. Tied up. Bound and gagged. The only one there. In a fucking bush.
Yeah.
I'd almost escaped. Except you just happened to attack the orc camp I was in at that moment. I grew up there for most of my adult life.
Well, this explains a lot.
The fuck does that mean?
Way too much.
What does that mean?
Nothing, Grundar. But you could lead us to them. Directly to them.
I could. But don't tell anyone else about this because I need to think about this.
Okay.
If I really want to be involved in that. Because don't get me wrong, they've done me wrong in a lot of ways, but I grew up with a lot of these men. People, whatever you want to fucking call them. And I don't know if I want to be the one who cuts them down.
I understand.
Give me an hour or two to think about it.
Just an hour or two. Okay.
Why would I need more time?
It's
Oh,
Jason.
You wouldn't.
It's Jason's background noise. We can hear like whenever he's rolling up the thing on the.
Why would I need more than an hour or two?
I guess you wouldn't. Okay. I'll leave you to your thoughts then, and then I'll.
Gruner goes and he gets a drink.
I'll get water and something to eat.
All right,
So,
Leonin, what are you doing? Bethman checks in mid-morning. You know, you're still like kind of, getting about. Oh, by the way, now that it's even more convenient, she's got like some sort of like secret passage into this room.
Oh, great!
So like
I'm sure.
even the servants don't know of her comings and goings, and she just steals right in at night and leaves long before morning.
Convenience at its finest.
That's right.
It's like JFK and Marilyn Monroe. I'm not saying that actually happened or anything, guys. Would never.
Oh, come on! I
insinuate-
mean, they've released pictures now.
I would
It could
never
be-
insinuate things like that. I mean,
Right.
He was our former president.
sorry.
back to the
How
left.
dare you?
And was assassinated like 30 minutes down the road from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yo, go to that book depository. Check out that window. You can't even see the fucking road.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into that. That's
just-
Oh my god.
That's Grundar talking. That's Grundar.
Right.
Yeah, I'll wake Lena and obviously wake up and
What's this about a book suppository?
Sorry.
Ow! All right. So yeah, you
Shove
get
that
up.
knowledge right up your.
The knowledge.
we're going to obviously wake up, eat, get dressed, maybe. And we'll go see if everything's ready at the castle with Bethanin.
Bethan actually, when he knows that you gotten up, he actually just knocks and then checks in and he says, "My lord," he goes, "all is in order." He goes, "Everything awaits your pleasure."
See, this is Bethanin. This is why we can have nice things. This is why we have nice things, is because you take care of it.
He goes, "I couldn't have done it without you, my lord."
Well, you're the one that put it all together. I mean, take some credit for yourself. By the way, how were those couple days off, huh?
Love that.
It was quite good to see the wife and children, my lord.
Good. I'm glad.
Poor Beth. That's all he wants.
Poor guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, he hadn't seen him for like a couple years at least, and then you got to see him.
Dude.
Well,
Right,
make sure your wife and your wife and yourself get invitations to this evening.
Oh, very good, my lord.
Is Grundar right there? Because he pats, like he throws his hand out and hits Leon in the chest and says, "And the kids."
You're not
You're
there.
not there.
Oh, damn it.
Here's the stream view.
I mentally feel something hit my chest.
I want the kids to be there.
No, I'd very much enjoy to meet your wife. I don't think I've ever met her before.
Because I just imagine Bethanin having like 17 kids, like being very prosperous.
He's got it. You know what? He doesn't kids that much, and for as long as he's with Leonin, he's making bank. So he's just like, I'll just show up, knock up the wife, and then get back
It's
out
like
on the
a
road.
trucker.
Again.
17.
He just sends his money home.
He's more like a roadie. Okay.
He has 10 kids, 10 for the 10 times he's been home in the past
Correct.
15 years.
Right. Exactly.
That's good.
So yeah, he says, would you like to tour would you like to tour the keep, my lord?
Of course, it'll be fun to see home again.
Okay.
So I'll probably tour the keep, and then I'll head to the stream view to go see these yahoos.
Okay. So, I don't know. Are you still paying attention, Nate?
Oh,
I'm listening.
Yeah, that's
Okay. So you're just about to wrap the sled and get back to his place, so you can shovel down some food, take a breather, and then on to whatever next hellish form of torture he has planned for you. And you're coming back not too far from the stream view, in fact. And you're kind of like you saw your friends and you're like you're coming right back and again, you're kind of like a little sheepish. But you see Lord Kierdan Muirson, who
I don't know if he even knows who that is.
we know who he is because there'd been minimal discussion among the group before they all kind of broke up and started doing their own thing about how supposedly this guy accused the group of theft by talking to the constable, but then, and this was kind of like hand wave behind the scenes, but
Right.
you all of you went and talked to him, and where Leonin sort of put him to the question, and both Leonin and Balner came away agreeing that he seemed very sincere that he had no knowledge of this whole event at all. So you actually saw him, you've seen how he talks, or you've heard how he talks, you see how he dresses, you've gotten the sense of him because you've been in a room with him questioning him or listening to your companion's question for like a solid hour, okay? Even if you didn't really talk to him directly. And he didn't really interact with you or ask you questions. But that's not what's really of interest here. What's of interest is that as you're, dragging this thing nearly exhausted by the stream view in, you see down not too far away ahead of you, because you've walked, this is where you almost got arrested, right? And not too far, well, you did get arrested, and not too far down the road is the City Watch garrison, and coming out of there is Lord Kierdan Muirson, which in and of itself is not necessarily remarkable. He's got 4 guys with him. What is interesting is that probably 20 minutes ago, as you passed the shingles, which is like the noble, like the high quarters of the town, you saw him there. Now, unless the guy is an Olympic athlete, there's no way that he got here when he was back there, and there's no way.
Right.
You start slowing, just you can't really help it. You're like, the wheels are turning and you're thinking, and you hear Austri behind you. He's like, "Why are you slowing down? Get moving!"
Jason, we hear you munching.
You're burning daylight.
So I saw him earlier. Wait, do I have an idea of which one seems out of place, or just the fact that they were both in the same? I saw them close together is the only thing that's weird about it.
Well, you think they were dressed differently as well. Oh, you pissed him off. He just left.
I didn't mean to alienate him, Dave. Welcome back.
Make an investigation roll. Or untrained if you don't have it. That's fine.
Investigation.
Well, no. Yeah, it would be investigation. Be noticing small details.
Well, this will be good.
I believe in you. Nice.
Good roll.
Wow. You can have a -1. Okay. You remember in that discussion that he was quite shaken by the notion that somebody had impersonated him, and he talked about redoubling the guard around himself. He normally always had about 2 guys in his retinue. Now he has 4. And you can see those 4 that you recognize right down there at the garrison. You look down the hill, okay?
Okay.
Earlier, when you were passing the shingles, he was on his own.
All right. Yeah. Do I know where any of the rest of the group are? Did I see any of
Yeah,
them while I
you're
was
not.
doing my?
Yeah, you happen to be just like a stone's throw from the stream view coming back, and you remember seeing Amir and Grundar right out front. And you think maybe you saw Balner come shuffling out too.
Okay.
Yeah, you at this point, Austri kind of jumps out of the sled, and he kind of comes jogging up to you, and he goes, "What's wrong? Are you all right?" He seems like he's honestly like concerned that like maybe you're like, having like a heat stroke or something.
Right. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna have
He
to.
he pushes water at you.
I'm just gonna push it aside. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna have to come back to you. This is important, and I'm just gonna take off sprinting to where I last saw the group, and just grab them and kind of tell them like, I just saw Kieran there with all his guards, but I saw him a second ago down here at the shingles. We need to go and try and find this imposter now.
Yeah, you you start to head off, and Austri's like, "Oh, hold on a second," and he takes the time to untie you from this, and he's like, "All right, go ahead." And you see, he
I
puts
wasn't like holding something. It
no,
was
he actually
like
had you in a
strapped me.
harness. Yeah, that you just like strapped you.
Okay.
He harnesses it up, and he's just like, ah, and he just heads off with
I like the battle cry.
it. That's right.
That's good.
And all right, yeah. So you run to the stream view, and sure enough, as you step in, I mean, the place is already like, it's as busy as you ever saw it on an evening before the festival, which you only had like 3 or 4 days, so it's really busy. But you're still able easily to pick out Grundar sitting at a table, eating a chicken, like a whole chicken, while Emir drinks, a glass of water and just sort of watches him.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm just gonna run over and slam my hand on the table and say, "We gotta go. I think I found the imposter." And I'm just
I
gonna.
thought you were about to say you smacked
I'm gonna
the
say,
chicken.
"Follow
I
me.
was-
Come on." And we're gonna take
Grundar,
off running.
When he slams his hand down the table, like he kind of comes to a halt, like quite a bit of sweat like sprays onto your chicken.
Yeah.
The chicken gets up and runs off.
No, just the salt part. I'm just like, and I finish it, and I throw the bones off to the side. Let's go.
That's the second meal that's been interrupted by my friends.
I don't even think twice about it. I just finish it. It's a little extra salt,
Yeah, Balner, you decided that you probably needed to eat some food to replenish before you headed out. So even though it's like almost noon, you haven't really gone out yet. Delaney, as you notice, she's just bouncing around, serving drinks, slinging drinks, and bringing food to the tables. She just, every so often though, she'll look over and give you a big, shit-eating grin. But otherwise,
Oh, no.
she just leaves you be.
She's probably a dragon in disguise.
Most women
Probably.
are.
There you go.
Is this Dragonlance?
Or an orc.
If we're playing Dragonlance and you didn't tell me, I want to be a dragon.
Or maybe she self-identifies as an orc. Who knows?
Right. All right. So yeah,
That's
all three
Grundar.
of you are sitting at the table. Pretty much everybody's there except for Leonin. When Kellenen comes running in, tells everybody to follow him, and out he goes again. Doesn't even really wait for a response.
Well, I'm not doing anything else, so I was just sitting here watching him eat chicken. So yeah, I'll follow.
Basically, the
interested.
Hound in Game of Thrones right now.
If you say one more word, I'm about to eat every chicken.
I want that scene to happen. I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this place.
Okay, so do you guys all follow Kellenen?
Yeah. Oh well.
With chicken
sweaty-
leg and tail.
A sweaty, bare-chested Kellenen. Okay, so where do you go? What do you do, Kellenen?
First
I'm
thing I
going
ask
back
him,
to the
Or what's
the
it called?
shingle.
Critic what did you call your? What was his name?
Criticalese.
Criticalese.
No, first thing I asked Kellenen is
Always
on the run.
Search of crits.
On the run over there, I'm like, "Where's that little dwarf?"
I had to leave him behind. It's not important right now. Come on.
It's
Get your head in
very
the game.
important.
Get your head in the game.
He looks strong.
Did your muscles get bigger?
Oh my god!
I noticed that they glisten more.
Right.
That's the chicken grease, you dumbass.
All right. So do you take them, or do you kind of lead them to where you saw that guy?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, guys, you're following Kellenen. I know it is so awfully mean.
That's so good.
What's so good?
Don't encourage him.
No, just you'll have to find out.
No, so you guys all head to this manor house where you saw him come out from, or actually, so you didn't see him go up from. You saw him going up to the house, is what you saw. And you don't know this particular manor house at all. But Grundar, you know it. It's where it was behind this manor that you fought some dandy in a fight.
I know it. I know it well.
I'm assuming Amir would have no idea.
I don't think you've been here.
No, I haven't been here, and I didn't really hang with I didn't hang with that crowd.
I'm not going to acknowledge that, Palmer. I'm not even going to read it.
All right, so yeah, you're standing in front of the place, and Grundar, you're like I know this place. So what do?
I'll say, I know this place, and I direct them to the side gate that I probably saw.
Well, I mean, it's like any manor. It's got like nice gardens around it and a fence. This one actually has like a stone fence with like wrought iron kind of on top of it, kind of embedded.
But I go towards the side that I know, I assume that there was like a gathering area towards one side or the other that we gathered on, and I want to lead them towards that side.
It was a garden out back, and that's where you had
just
that
directly
little
in
fight.
the back. All right.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, Tony.
Amir would not be comfortable going through a side gate of a place he's never been to. We don't know if the guy's still in here or not. I think it'd be best if we just approach it directly. Yeah, who are we looking for, Kellenen?
I told you we were looking for the imposter. Weren't you listening?
Well, who's he look like right now?
I told you.
Who's he or she look like?
Grundar says, "All right, come here."
And then
come here.
I saw him again.
He leads you to a hedge that kind of looks like roughly the spot where like the side yard would be, and he just walks through the hedge. Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
I have done it. It's done. It's already happened.
Well, Amir's not gonna follow you.
I know, but
am I at the house? Do I see this?
No, you already left. You're headed to the
keep. Oh my gosh. I'm about to be so I'm about to be so mad.
All right, so you plow through the hedge on the side of the house, headed for back, like where you kind of know that you had that little fight. Okay. What about the other three of you? What do you do?
Well, I'm gonna head up to the front door and give it a few raps and see if anybody comes.
Okay.
Somebody please come get me.
No one answers the door.
We don't know where this is, Leonin.
No, it's fine.
No one answers the door so you're the first to the door while Grundar's going around the back. And
I'm going with Grundar.
Oh, you charge him behind Grundar. Okay.
Yeah, right. I'm not in presentable knock on the front door attire right now.
You don't have a shirt on.
Dude, what do you mean? You don't have a shirt on and you have like a 24-pack. You're glistening. People
I'm just covered in sweat.
I'm your stripper, Graham.
Weirdo. I should instead sneak in the back like a crazy person with Grundar.
No one sweats like
Yeah.
Gaston.
Right.
Man, it was like over 90 degrees today at work. I was sweating.
Oh,
today.
come on.
Man.
Okay. So
I'm
Balner,
surprised though.
So Balner, I assume you're hanging with Amir at the front door, since the other two went around the back.
Sure.
Okay. So you knock, you wait, you kind of lean in a little closer and listen. Nobody immediately comes to answer the door. You knock twice, but on the other side of the door, you hear. It sounds like a household alarm.
Alarm?
Yeah.
Like somebody's ringing a bell, or?
No. Meaning like people running around. There's like high pitched voices. You hear one person that just sounds like they like a woman just wailing at the top of her lungs, and lots of like running footsteps and things like that.
Is the door unlocked?
You check it. It is.
Yeah, I'll open it. I want to see what's going on.
Immediately, you're just assaulted by the sounds of a household in distress. About this time, Grundar, you come running around to the back. Whoop, damn it. I left my screen go without touching anything for a while. You come running around to the back, and there's like the kind of the round. There's like a fountain with like flowers kind of in the middle of it, and then there's just like a stone kind of walkway around it with more flowers and hedges and things. Sure. And there's the first thing you notice as you come rounding around the back is that the fountain is red, and you're like, that's interesting. They put wine in it. Like, man, these nobles are really ostentatious. And then you see that there's like a person who seems like they're maybe like trying to get something in the fountain, but then you realize no, like maybe like then you quickly realize somebody like just fell halfway into it and is just bleeding
He's so
out.
drunk. Oh fuck! No, he's not.
Right.
Oh shit.
And there's quite a bit of blood on the stones leading from the house out here to the fountain, and that's what you see. I mean, you see this too, as you round the corner to the back, Kellen and Criticles. Which, by the way, I just think is freaking hilarious. That's awesome.
All right, so we see a guy like bleeding out in the fountain.
It's what it appears. Yeah, I mean, it looks very fresh. Everything looks very, very fresh. The body's just kind of, like bobbing sort of in the water. That's the first thing you notice. Okay, so you come into the front door, Amir and Balner. There's the house is sort of wide and not long, right? So like as you come in the front door,
right,
there's double doors, and there's like a marble ballroom sort of floor. So it doubles as an entry and also like maybe like a dance floor, whatever. And then there's like French doors at the back of the manor that open out into the garden. Okay. And while you don't see your companions coming around the other side, what you do see is very clearly blood, like a trail, like spatters of blood on the ground, leading out to the rear, and you see someone sort of like laying half in. Although from here you really can't tell it's covered in blood. You just see somebody kind of like face down in the fountain out there, and there's blood on the floor in here. You hear screaming from the right wing. From the left, you see a woman and a man dressed in like servants' clothes, and they have like bandages and like sheets and all kinds of whatever they can get their hands on. You imagine to staunch wounds or whatever.
Okay, I'll just kind of yell at them. What's going on? I don't know if they would know. I mean, how can I help?
Let's go.
Nobody pays any attention. Like they're all like set on what you got to do, evidently. And if they're not, then they're like just hysterical and still not paying any attention to you.
Inconsolable at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
Bleeding in the
seen
fountain.
anything-
What's going on?
Right.
Well, I wasn't talking to the person in the fountain.
I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
Well, if nobody's paying any attention to me, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run in and I'm gonna go check on the person in the fountain.
I just purposely stride through and begin examining the body because I can,
So
if they're not dead yet,
Yeah.
or if they are fresh.
they're only mostly dead. Sorry,
Don't start that again. Don't start that shit again.
I know. All right, so Amir, you head to the right to see what's going on, and Balner, you go straight back toward the fountain, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we'll cover the fountain first. So, the two of you that ran around the side, you come up, check this thing out. About that time, you see Balner, Balner doesn't really run. He's more like Clint Eastwood. He just kind of moseys at a faster pace. So he's kind of moseying in your direction, as only a dwarf can, to catch up with you. You kind of, I don't know, you grab the guy and you kind of drag him out. He's got a puncture wound, like right here, like dead center in the chest. And you could also see as you pulled him out, it was also coming out the back too. Like it's on both sides. So yeah, you pull him out. He's just complete. This guy is ragdoll, limp, and he just sort of falls. He looks like either possibly a servant, but you notice, Kellenen, just because who you are, that this guy has, like, as you kind of try to grab him, he had decent arms on him, and he had like hands calloused like they'd held weaponry, and you think that maybe this guy was just like house guard that was somewhat caught unawares, like before he was planning to be on duty or something like that.
Yeah.
But regardless, you see what's very obviously like a rapier wound, like a thrust through the chest or the back, one of the two.
I want to go try and search for whatever the threat is. I'm not going to be any use here with this guy, this dead body or injured person, whatever it is.
Okay. How do you want to search?
Well, I mean, whatever I can see we're in like the backyard area of this manor or whatever.
Can I just stop for a moment? I just want to say I can see Ryan. He's just bursting at this point. He's like, this is where I'm living. Why am I not? Okay,
right.
Back to you.
Yeah.
Blame the DM.
All right. So I'm sorry. Tell me again how you wanted to search.
I think I'm gonna follow the blood to
Back inside.
Inside the house and start looking inside the house for any kind of threat.
Grundar, what do you do?
I guess I will. I'm still around back, right?
Yeah, when you kind of pulled this dude out of the fountain, he just kind of slipped bonelessly out of your grasp. He was like wet, and when he kind of fell, his head just kind of went thump hard into the cobblestones, like maybe like what a watermelon would sound like when it just kind of smacks into.
But he was already
concrete.
He was already dead, right?
You assume so. I mean, the dude's been run through.
Sure. All right. Well, I immediately just go into like, wait a fucking minute, into like battle instinct, and I turn around towards the manor, if you will, and I assume that's where the threat's going to come from, and I start making my way that way.
Okay.
So.
All right, Balner, you come striding up. You see them pull this guy out. I mean, it doesn't take a surgeon to realize that this guy is
Yeah,
dead.
if I see
Probably-
Balner, I'm like, let's fucking go. We're going inside. He's gone. Unless you want to try and save him.
All right. So what do you want to do?
Oh,
What was that?
it sounded like Jason, but
Jason was talking.
like if he was in Poltergeist.
If he was in Poltergeist.
Very robotic.
Here.
Well, he's on mute. It says.
No, that's exactly why I was kind of weird to me.
Can I take a moment while we're waiting to clarify who I have with me?
Absolutely.
Everyone I possibly can. No, I'm kidding.
I'm there.
You can't do that.
But I'm not there.
No, I would assume
but
I
I'm
took Bethnan, Orson, and the kid.
Yep.
That's what I'm gonna assume the people have.
Wait, those
with
are your
me.
3 original guys, right?
Yeah, well,
They
Bethnan
are
and
not.
Orson are the original dudes.
They are not combat oriented, right?
Not at all.
All right. I know
and,
Bethany.
and his bastard child.
And the bastard.
Oh, that's
One
right.
of them,
well, he probably is combat oriented, at least somewhat.
Maybe
Bethnan
one
excels
day.
in ironing my clothes, and Orson excels in getting me wine.
Does he have proficiency in ironing? Because that could be used as a weapon.
I'm sure he probably does.
Heat damage.
Does one of them have the gourmand feat?
Extra damage against people with not smooth skin. With iron.
Yeah.
As an orc, you're just like, ow, ow! Ah.
I'll assume that's what he was intending to do because I think that's what he was probably intending to. So you're like, all right, we gotta go. This is not, he's dead. And you see,
Put a rope on.
you see a rather amazing thing. Balner
You don't need a rope. Just pick it up.
Balner sort of like leans over him, inspects him for a moment. You see, he says a quick prayer as like he sort of just holds his hand in front of him. You see light sort of kind of like a soft glow sort of emanate around his hand, or maybe comes up through. You don't know, but I mean, it's just this. You even from a few feet away, you feel like the warm presence of life sort of in his hand, and then he just looks down at the man, says a prayer. In the name of Marika, he says, "Come back to the light." Oh, you come back to the light. And when that happens, his hand comes down, touches the guy in the chest, and you see this guy who is just ragdoll limp. He just like takes this deep breath, and his body kind of arches. He just like, and then he like his eyes like snap open and awake, and then he kind of a second later goes limp again, but he's breathing. And his eyes are kind of like half lidded, blinking open, and they're like a little unfocused. It's the damnedest thing you've ever seen. He was dead. And Grundar is speechless. All right, so Kellinan, you go running in, and you see Amir ahead of you, sort of like he's rounded into the north wing, and he's looking around, trying to assess the situation. There are what look like 3 people dead or dying, laying here. Like one of them's halfway in a doorway, another one is just like out in the open, and another person. What are you doing?
I'm speechless.
Right.
He's working on his speechless face.
And a third one is sort of like running around gurgling with blood kind of like foaming from his mouth, and he's holding his neck, and there's just like blood kind of like coming out from it. So the 2 of you that are in the house, what do you do?
All right. Is there like a?
You guys are like, what the frick is going on?
You said they were screaming,
Yeah.
and that's what Amir was honing on to. Is the screaming coming from further into the house, or is it coming from upstairs?
So
Well,
like
I think
the doorway,
these guys were just
Go ahead.
attacked, so I wanted to push on through. I can't help these guys.
Well, I
Okay.
can't either. I'm trying to figure out where the screamings come from.
So like the person who's laying kind of half in and half out of a doorway, you think the screaming's coming from like somewhat inside, and like the person like is somewhat limp, but their body's kind of moving. You think maybe there's someone inside who's like maybe kind of pulling at them or cradling their head or something like that maybe, and they're the one that's crying. You see that you can kind of tell as you look. It's a man, and as you're pushing through Kellinan, there's a man there, and then he's the one that's laying there. It also looks like he's been skewered cleanly through the chest, and then in the room, and he looks like he's wearing like servant's clothes. And in the room is another servant, a woman, and she has his head kind of cradled in her arm, and she's just like wailing inconsolably. So
So if this thing's a shape changer, it could be any one of these people. We should just no, I'm just kidding.
Whoa!
Kill them all!
Whoa!
You're gonna use the ice knife on
hang
everybody here.
Hang on. I come up into the room and I use my eldritch eyes.
Nah, you're speechless.
Nate,
I just purposely,
I've got it.
steadily work my way through the house, stabilizing anyone, healing anyone.
okay, all right. So
I do have the magic vision.
So as soon as this guy kind of like comes back to life and you basically jumpstart his heart again, you just don't even, without a word, like Grundar's just like, and you just like turn and go back into the house. And
That's why I was speechless.
So Amir, you're like trying to, gods, can I do anything here? Kellinan, you're not even thinking like, yeah, there's nothing I can do here. So you make an investigation check, actually, as you're trying to figure out like what's going on. I mean, you're really not at that point yet, Amir. You're still like, can I help these people? Do you even have medicine?
No, I don't.
Yeah. And as you're waiting, Balner just like strides in, like finds somebody, and you see like, like
Clear.
the guy who was holding his throat. he just stops, and his hand comes away, and he's like, he can breathe again. Kellinan, you come racing into the room, and as you assess the situation, you're like trying to figure out like where this battle went, and you're like, you immediately think that probably what happened is that there was the fight started in here and then worked its way out to the back. So like where you were, probably the last encounter that happened on the grounds here before somebody left the building. You think
okay.
You're going in the wrong direction.
All right. Well, if that's what I think, then I'm gonna turn around and try and head out and find the person. Yeah.
So you head back out to the backyard then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Amir, you're looking. I mean, Balner's done some pretty groovy things in combat, but you wait, yeah. Refrigerator broke. That's great. Damn it. So
what is this, McDonald's?
So you just see, I mean, Balner, a completely different side of Balner that you really haven't seen before. He's healed you guys when needed, but to see him do it to other people, he just like kind of strides through purposefully, heals that guy in the neck, moves over. You only had one revivify, I think, didn't you, Jason?
Does he have? Wait, isn't revivify like?
It's a third level. It's a third level spell, and we get two third level spell slots.
He doesn't have to pray. I'm trying to remember how it works. He doesn't have to pray for them ahead of time, does he?
No, it's just he has to get to them within a minute of them having died.
Damn, that's super powerful having that.
And there's a material cost of like 300 GP of diamonds or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could say he got that before.
Yeah.
I mean, he had plenty of money.
Yeah.
And also I think I have a trip that stabilize anyone 0 hit.
So when you approach the second one, you realize that he's bled out so much that this happened more than a minute ago. So your spell's not going to help him out. So so you quickly, you go there, you assess that that's the situation there. All right, so Kellinan, you go running back out. Grundar, you were still like, holy cow, this guy's on the ground. He's like struggling with breath, but he is breathing. Kellinan comes racing back out to where you are again, out in the back. What do you guys do?
Okay. I look at Kellinan.
I think they came out this way. We need to try and find whoever did this.
Oh, all right. Well, I immediately go into like they came out this way, tracking mode, survival check.
Okay.
So also Kellen, I need you to help me. I need you to help me check for footprints. I can roll with advantage if he does, right?
If only if he is trained in survival.
So
you-
just a side note, the
I am.
the entire
Boom.
left,
Fuck yeah.
Bulk hero. Yeah, buddy.
my entire
Yeah,
left
yeah.
screen is completely frozen for some reason. So I don't know what's
That's
going on,
strange.
but the stream's still working. So all right,
But
we're good.
anyways,
Okay.
yeah, no, it actually is. I'm looking at it right now.
So to those,
But,
you can't see their rolls, but it's still working.
But all right,
It's got
so I
the
roll this,
laptop version of Bell's palsy.
I roll this survival check. Roll this with advantage.
Mm.
Damn.
A second.
Only a 12.
12 with advantage? Come on.
Yeah,
Use a card
man.
on that.
I can't. That only gives me advantage.
You can use it to
All right.
re-roll.
Well, I know. I'm not going to do that.
You do. You pick up the trail and you
See?
follow with Kellenan right behind you. And you get around you follow like these kind of well manicured you're on this well manicured lawn. And then there's like a hedge denoting the property
I
line
walk on
between
it deliberately.
the hedge.
The lawn.
Oh, of course, yeah. So you trudge right over it as you're following these prints, and they cross a property line over a hedge, and then over a wall, and then over another hedge, into another nobleman's home. It gets to the
hedge too, if I can. I just walk through it. Like I take the most direct line I can. If I can.
Okay, you have to hop the fence, but I know you guys both have great athletics, so I'm not even going to make you roll that. You get over the fence, you get over you just go through plow through the next hedge. You're in this other nobleman's estate, and the tracks go to, stone walkway, and that's where you lose them. Like you're just not able to track. You're not able to track them any further on just this stone, like cobblestone. And
I look to
the one thing though is that there's no blood. So there's no blood on the cobblestone. So whoever it was, they're unwounded, most likely, or at least not with a blade.
I wanted to kind of look around and listen at just like the not the tracks, but the area. Try and listen for any other kind of disturbances, or see if I can see anyone in the crowd, Kieran or
there's not a lot of crowd
out of
here.
place.
Yeah, there's not a lot of crowd here. I mean, you're still in the backyard of this other nobleman's estate. Go ahead and make a perception test.
I did a 22.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The only thing you really hear is all the ruckus from the estate you just left, primarily. Nothing here at this estate really stands out at all.
I look back. I look at Kellen and I say, "We should go back and look for something that they left the house and try and follow them with a dog." Because I remember the orcs always using dire wolves to try and track their prey.
Do we have a dog?
We can find a fucking dog.
We can find a bloodhound that's trained. All right, cool. Let's do it.
Grundar's not thinking trained. He's just like, if we see a dog on the way back, we'll get it.
We're gonna pick up a stray. Yeah.
Grundar and Kellen are just enabling each other at every turn.
Oh my god.
It'd be a great dog.
No, I don't want to go back. I just want to keep kind of canvassing the area and searching for a little while longer.
I mean,
I think we'll split here then, because I think I want to go back.
All right, you're gonna go back. Okay, Kellen, and do you like go into the next nobleman's backyard? Do you want to go to the front to look like out in the street area?
If he does go into the next nobleman's backyard,
was there like a direction to travel that we were following, like we were kind of moving towards?
Yeah, I mean he moved really from backyard to backyard, but
Right.
he crossed over stone sort of flagstones, and then that's where Grundar lost the trail. Like he
Right.
walked around the lawn trying to find like maybe he just crossed it, but it doesn't seem that way.
If he's
Yeah.
going into the next
I just-
backyard, I'll stop
just-
him and I'll be like, "Hey, wait! Are you human? You're fully human?
Yeah.
Never mind. I don't say anything. I was gonna say if you're an elf, I'd be like, wait, they're kind of racist around here, but no, never mind. Never mind. You're human. So you're good.
I just want to keep going the direction of travel and
Okay.
looking out.
Well, okay. Make an investigation roll. See if you can get a clue. Okay. Amir, what are you doing while he's doing that?
I would have been looking for
Kellen,
obviously.
he ran in, looked around, ran back out again. So
Now that I've looked around a bit, and it's just servants that are down, right? I mean, it's obviously just servants that are hit.
it looks like just servants and maybe
Okay.
the guy out back that you've now realized Balner kind of saved. He might be
Yeah.
like a house guard. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kellen, and
so-
Nate, you are hot on rolls tonight. Holy cow!
I ain't got a critic, please, yet though.
Right.
I'm waiting.
All right. So sorry. Go ahead.
Please don't make that a thing you say.
Come on.
So obviously, something wouldn't attack the house for just to put down servants. So I will look for the lord or lady of the house because that's got to be what they were coming for. So I'll keep searching.
Okay. Yeah. You go to searching rooms. Okay. Balner, you're still tending to wounded. Grundar. Okay. Well, actually, hang on. Go back to you telling it. So what you determine. Where does this come from? My God. Doris. All right.
Is this on Twitch that's getting...
No, hang on. I'm going to post it in the chat.
I have no idea what all these side comments are.
All right. So
he's in Discord.
Yeah. So anyway, you sort of gather that because the footsteps don't continue on the grass, they probably headed back toward the front, like toward the front of the building. Maybe worked his way. Maybe he went through the house. You don't know. So do you want to head toward the middle of the house? I mean, you have no weaponry. You have no large.
I don't even have my sword on me.
No.
I should have my sword at least.
I'll let you have a dagger.
I don't even have a dagger. I can't have my magic sword on me.
No, you were too busy, with the thing on. Yeah, you have no weapon.
Balner would have been the only ones battle ready, really.
That's
what?
Dude, you're so strong. You could probably rip someone in half just looking at.
I'm always battle ready, dude.
Do you have Snaga?
Sucks. Okay.
Does that
From
matter?
now on, I don't believe it. From now on, I'm training with my sword on my side. This is ridiculous.
All right.
Oh man.
Okay.
Amir,
So
think about this. Grundar's ready to fight with his fists.
So there's no walkways going around the houses, which tells you that they probably just walked right into the house.
I'm just gonna I'm not gonna go into the house. I don't know if they did or not. I'm
Okay.
not
You
gonna get
rolled well enough on
arrested again.
You roll well enough on your perception to see as you kind of you approach that area, and then you see that there's two double doors. One of them is open, and the other one has broken glass in it.
All right, then I'll go in.
Okay, so you charge into the house.
I mean, I'm not armed, so I'm being cautious. Yeah.
Okay. All right, you go in. The layout's not too terribly different from the one that you just were inside of. But there's kind of like a longer hallway, and you see the front door. It's closed, and you hear nothing inside of this place.
Just
Half
gonna.
naked man
I'm just.
busting
I
into
know.
houses.
I know. This is
Gonna get
great.
arrested again.
My buddy abandoned
I
me to
think
go find some feral dogs. I don't know what's going on here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Search
start
the place?
searching the place. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna back out of this for a moment. Those of you at the Cowles estate, because that's what it is, you stabilize those you can, and what that means is that Balner saved 2 of the 3 people who either dead or dying. Unfortunately, one of the servants had been dead for a little too long and couldn't be saved.
I think I can stabilize his body and then see about having the priest of Palor.
Right? Yeah. Kellenan, you search that house top to bottom and find nothing until you check the front door and see that it is not locked. So, they probably broke in the back door and went straight to the front door, just unlocked it and walked out.
Right.
Now,
Oh shit!
Amir, as you're trying to get what information you can out of these people, you're able to piece together a story. And things start to make a bit of sense. So you haven't seen her, you haven't really talked to her. She doesn't travel in circles that you travel in, but 2 of her companions. One you know really well, and the other one you met once, which is Mary Max and Leonin, of course. And what they say is that a fellow lord came to have tea with her, and the staff walked in to find that it appeared maybe he had drugged her. They don't know exactly what happened, but he was basically he had her over his shoulder and he was about ready to walk out. And as soon as the first guard was about to raise an alarm, the guy just ran him straight through, and then he killed 2 more people on his way out the back
All with a woman over his shoulder?
with a woman over his shoulder.
A man after my own heart.
Hmm. But I can but I can assume that this is the Demon Rose Cowles that has been taken.
Yes.
I can assume that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. About half the staff was upstairs attending to her husband, who was evidently ailing badly.
Yeah, multitasking, more like multi-signatures on his death warrant.
Anyway, yeah, they said that they saw this lord. They believe, with the descriptions that they give, Lord Kirdan.
The doppelganger.
The plot thickens like oatmeal.
Would I know where Leonin is staying at this point? Would I know that he's staying at this place?
So you've canvassed the area. You've canvassed the whole home. His shit is here. He has like 3 rooms with his stuff in it. You clearly recognize some of his belongings.
Probably 4.
Okay, four rooms. Sorry. Yeah. Like he has basically like most of one wing.
All right. I'll approach another one of the. I'll approach one of the servants again. Where's Leonin? Where did he go?
It takes them a moment, like, to kind of reorient, and the woman says, "Oh, yes, young Lord Farvale took. Oh, thank God," she says as she thinks about it. She goes, "She took Lady Cowell's son, now his page, and some of his men, and they went up to Hawkrock Keep, as I understand it, to sort of tour the keep in preparation for the festivities tonight." She goes, "Oh," and then she immediately kind of devolves back into, worry for her lady, and you find out that her sister was the wife of the man who died that Balner was too late to save, the woman who's like inconsolably wailing with the man, kind of a family deal. So yeah. Anyway, that's about all useful you get out of her. Headed up to the keep.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna head that way. I'm gonna go try to catch him.
Okay, Kellen, I mean, you've done the circuit. You get to the front door. You're like, oh god. You open it up. You look out. I mean, there's less people here in the high quarter, but still enough that you of course you didn't hear the rest of this, but you don't see anything out of the ordinary. You don't see anyone who looks like Kierdan.
Okay. Oh, I mean, he's just gonna keep looking for a while.
Okay.
He ain't have any reason to go back there right now.
Amir,
So-
you come out the front door and you see Kellenen standing out on the front step of the nearby the next door neighbor's estate, and he's sort of like looking out over all the sparse crowd in this high quarter.
Okay. I'll just kind of yell at him that I'm gonna go find Leonin. Apparently, he's staying here. They took the lady that was living here, and then I'm gone. Heading towards the keep.
What about you, Balner or Dar? What are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm still with Kellen and Amir, right?
Well, you're with Emir. I mean, if you follow
Okay.
him to the keep, Balner is still sort of like making sure people whose lives that he's saved is kind of comfortable and that they're not going to suddenly bleed out or die or something. So I don't know. Were you about to say something, Jason?
Yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say I was just gonna tend to people purposely and then kind of go,
You broke up on that last part.
and then kind of guard the house. Way to go.
Okay. All right. So what do you do, Grundar? You stay with Balner? Do you go next door to the other estate with Kellenen, or do you go with Emir up to the keep?
I would think I would go with Balner, to be honest, because he's the only other dwarf, and I would try and help him magically.
Racist now.
No,
Yeah.
I'm trying to help him magically.
Yeah.
All right.
Magic. Okay.
Like scanning through your book as fast as you can.
Yeah,
right.
and I focus on a picture of a chicken dinner in the cookbook, and I focus on using that to heal with. So.
All right. All right, Amir, you go dashing.
Does he use the sacred incantation of winner, winner?
Right.
I got a sweet skin of a leather jacket from that.
All right. So Amir, you go dashing toward the keep. And unfortunately is about 2/3 of the way across. You and running.
I need to get proficiency in athletics at this point. I think I
And Amir's running.
trained just as hard as Kellenen, I think.
Right.
Come train with me. The dwarf is. He knows what
I
he's doing.
I might need to.
So you you head up to the keep. All right. Now we'll kind of rewind a bit in time. So Leonin, you don't know about any of this. You head up.
My
you head up
spidey
with
sense
your-
is tingling. Let's go back to the house, guys.
Yeah, no. You you have a glorious walk, right through the middle of town. You and your processional, you're dressed like a lord. You have your men who are dressed like lord's men, and your page, and you draw quite a bit of attention as you head right up to the keep. And you get there. At this point, you've largely massaged the lieutenant into just like whatever you say, right? So you get in there and you check the place out, and Bethan has sort of returned all of the main areas where you would expect to entertain to display the colors of your house. He's moved the Knights of the Watch logo completely. You don't even know where that is, but he's removed the Knights of the Watch crest from below your family's crest, so that's the only thing that's visible there. And when you get there, there are, crews just like laying out tables with all kinds of food. Like, so basically the main entry, is also like where the Lord would receive people. There's also like where your father would sit when he would sort of hold court and pass judgment. There are long tables set in that room with a table set in front of the throne. And there's like place settings there. But in the main hall, it's really just like a long table just piled high with food. And it's mainly food that will last well into this evening, but there's more and more coming. And even as you hear lots of noise from the kitchens, and they're just bringing out plates and plates of like big, huge platters of food. The stuff in the main hall, you quickly denote is like meant more for, the small folk and the bourgeoisie. And, obviously the place settings in the next room where you would sit are for, like where the nobility would be, and all these things are just kind of like, yeah, of course that's the way it is.
As soon as I walk past the captain, I'm gonna be like, "Don't sweat it, Captain. Help yourself to some food this evening."
He just kind of grunts, but doesn't really say anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of start walking through and just kind of looking up and saying everything looks good, Bethan. You did very, very well. Very, very well.
I come to find Bethan, and the first thing I notice, I'm like, where the fuck is the golden goose?
Just kind of looking around and be like, Bethan, why is that crooked over there? Why is that banner crooked over there?
Orson, let's get on that. So
No, I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. It looks
That's
fine.
my banner.
Yeah, so I mean, he knows Bethan knows you well. I mean, he was your your manservant while you were in college. God.
It doesn't make it sound good.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, he takes you on this tour for probably a good solid hour, and of course, fast forwarding again. You hear a bit of a ruckus at the main gate, and the lieutenant he like perks up and he goes dashing out the front door. You notice this though, Leanin.
Okay, I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Emir's at the front gate and he dashes through.
No, you don't even know Emir's there. You're inside the castle proper, the keep proper.
Okay.
And you see near the entryway, a couple guards come rushing in. They say something to the lieutenant. Lieutenant perks up and out the door he goes.
I'm gonna go to. I'm assuming there's like a balcony nearby, right? I'm gonna go like
sure
towards that balcony.
All right, you step out on the balcony, and sure enough, you see at the main gate, you see Emir trying to talk his way past the guards.
Can I have him roll? Can he roll a persuasion check, please? Can I wait? I want to see this role played out.
Yeah. So these guards are there, like, who are you, and why do you want entrance?
I have to speak to. I can't believe it to say this, Lord Leonin.
Oh, of course you do. Everybody needs to. Off you go.
Okay.
Grundar comes up to help him.
No, you went with Balmer. You went with Balmer. You missed your chance.
Here's what, because I don't usually do things through persuasion. That's just not how Emir operates.
Right.
So, would he notice Leonin sitting on that balcony?
You see him step out, and he sees you, and then he just sort of smiles. Just like, even from here, you can kind of see it. He just smiles ever so slightly.
No. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go on the balcony. I'm gonna go like this.
I'm gonna point at
Kinda
him.
like-
I'm gonna point at him and cast message. Say, get your ass down here. It's important. Something has happened. Get down here.
Grundar knows nothing of this, and he steps up and he says, "You need to let him in right now, on my authority."
Right. You're still back at the house doing your.
Shit, that's right.
Yeah,
Never mind.
you were with.
You lost your
Balor.
chance.
Yeah.
You could have
Damn
gone
it.
with him. You chose
so-
the dwarf.
That's right, you did.
You chose your
racist.
fellow dwarf.
So, Leonin, you
Which-
see even from here the expression.
I actually
on-
sound a little angry,
Yeah.
which is probably the first time you've ever actually heard me sound that way.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is, you guys hang out. I'm gonna tell Orson, Bethany, and the Squirt.
That's hilarious.
And I'm actually gonna
Well, literally.
Yeah, literally. I'm gonna cast levitate with my mandolin, and I'm gonna actually levitate down.
what a wasteful use. But sure,
The
okay.
disrespect. The disrespect.
It's like you guys hang out here for a bit. I'll be back.
He,
And I'm
he
gonna cast.
strums for a moment. He strums for a moment, hikes a leg over the edge, kind of down he goes.
Yep.
Okay.
Like
It's
Mary
a
Poppins.
Yeah,
Once he alights in front of me,
that's beautiful.
I'll say you do realize that where you have been living has been attacked. Several servants almost died. One did, and your hostess, has been kidnapped. And you're here making jokes.
Oh come on, Amir! Don't.
I told you it was serious, and I'm being dead serious. The doppelganger.
So is it
came
servant?
in- The
I'm gonna-
doppelganger came in and took her, and we don't know where they've went.
I will like use insight, right, and know that he's actually like being serious. Even
Well,
though,
like,
even though
you
You
I
don't
know
have
Amir
to.
doesn't
You don't have to
joke.
use insight.
Amir doesn't joke.
Yeah, you
No.
know that.
Not really.
Okay, take me there. Let's go.
Now I'll turn around and keep going.
Run back.
Here we go.
You're gone. All right.
I'm still levitating.
Okay.
Levitating
I-
behind
I-
him.
I hate to do this. We're gonna knock off just a little bit early tonight, but before we do, you guys back at the estate. Well, I'll get to you. So, Amir and Leonin, you guys are hustling back across town, and as you pass the main thoroughfare that leads down into toward the main gate, you see an interesting sight. There appears to be refugees, or maybe just people who are outside of the city walls, pouring in mass. Like, I mean, it's not just like the casual movement of people in merriment. Okay, in fact, that sound is gone.
Panic?
As you get close, it seems more like panic, and you hear like short blasts on horns. And there's like a dust cloud from beyond the wall, but where you are, you don't really have a good vantage point outside the walls. So as you're running across town, you kind of slow for a moment to see what's going on. When you see like the crowds kind of pour in and then they part like as quickly as they can. And the Knights of the Watch come pouring in. I mean, and they're not like coming in like, cantering back into town. They're like coming in top speed. I mean, and there's a lot of them.